And welcome to Bankstown Oval for the final of the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. And we have a cracking match for you here this afternoon. Blisteringly hot conditions here in southwest Sydney. But the Bankstown Oval pitch and outfield is looking absolutely sublime for the match between the home side, the Bankstown Bulldogs, and the visiting University of New South Wales. The important news from the middle of the toss that took place earlier this afternoon. The University of New South Wales, the visitors, won the toss and have elected to field. And we're not too far away from both sides making their way out into the middle. It's a culmination of months of matches in this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup, and the man that is joining me for what is set to be another exciting 3 hours and 40 overs of cricket is Andrew Menzel. Very good afternoon to you, Manners, and we've got the two best sides. We've got this Bankstown Cricket Club that has yet to have lost a game in this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup competition, and I guess the University of New South Wales, the upstarts. They've won their last 5 in a row. They've knocked over the two best sides in the Sixers Conference in the Sydney Cricket Club and then Gordon back-to-back. So it promises to be a fascinating game here this afternoon.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jack. We've got a mouth-watering contest in front of us. Bankstown hosting Uni of New South Wales, and both teams have got here through, both captains have pointed out that, they've been good contributors right down both lineups. So I'm expecting a really close contest. We saw in the semi-final, Uni of New South Wales, they're an exciting young team, and they're the upstarts, as you said, and they're taking on Bankstown, who are, have a very successful history in New South Wales Premier Cricket. And they'll be looking to win in front of their home fans. We can see the two batters, Carruthers and Solway, I think, are out in the middle. And the Bumblebees, Uni of New South Wales, are following them onto the field. As you said, it's almost 40 degrees out here in Bankstown, so tough conditions for the players, but can't wait.
Yeah, myself and Chris McPherson had a wander out to the middle a little bit earlier this afternoon. A little bit of surface grass on the wicket, but nothing that would, I think, deter the batsmen too much. Still a lot of runs that both batting sides will be hoping to get amongst. Wouldn't say a flat wicket, but dryish tinge as well to the top surface of that wicket. But Men is correct. Nick Carruthers and Daniel Solway are the two batsmen out in the middle. Any of the fans of the New South Wales Sheffield Shield campaign would see the familiar face of Solway. He's been a solid contributor in the middle order for them over the last couple of seasons. He is captain of Bankstown today and opening the batting and looking to pick up where he left off in the last game where they won convincingly against Parramatta. Parramatta really hit the ground running against them in that conference final, the Thunder Conference final, but Bankstown were able to bring it back and charge their way to victory. Much like in the last game, Menace, Adrian Isherwood, the talented spin bowler that did the damage with the bat for the University of New South Wales, is going to get the ball first up. He got a wicket first ball in that conference final, the Sixers Conference final at Chatswood Oval. He'd love to do that again.
Yes, absolutely, and so much at stake here today. It's been 15 seasons since Uni of New South Wales have actually won a title in New South Wales Premier Cricket, McDonald's New South Wales Premier Cricket. And it's been 5 seasons since Bankstown won anything in McDonald's Premier Cricket. So both will be desperate to end their drought. Uni of New South Wales a bit longer. Yeah,
their first final in 8 years. They made it into the final of the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup back in the 2012-2013 summer, but went down against Fairfield Liverpool by 7 wickets. And they'll be looking to turn that around. Certainly in a rich vein of form in this format of the competition. And ball one is about to start. Nick Carruthers facing Adrian Isherwood. And it's short of a length and just nudged onto the leg side. So no first wicket, first ball for Isherwood this time, but pretty much on the money from ball one.
That's right. So Isherwood's bowling from the Hall of Fame end here at Bankstown Oval. And we can see that the pitch they're using is, I'll just continue after this delivery.
Isherwood to Carruthers, who's back and chipping that one off the hip. Just losing his line a little bit there, Isherwood. And it was well timed. It's racing along this Bankstown Oval outfield. And the batsmen get back for a couple. So Bankstown off the mark, none for 2.
Hussain chasing that one there. Yeah, so the pitch that they're using for today is, on the right-hand side of the square if you're looking from the Hall of Fame end. So on the leg side for Carruthers, there's a very long boundary on the leg side.
This one short and takes the outside edge. It was a quicker ball and a little bit flatter there from Isherwood. And it's going down towards the boundary. and is just going to evade the attempted rundown of one of the University of New South Wales fielders. A little bit of luck there for Carruthers, but he kept it along the ground. He picks up his first boundary and the first boundary for his side in this first over. Bankstown none for 6.
Yeah, so the boundary on the offside is a lot shorter than the leg side for the way Carruthers is facing. So I think we'll see that throughout today. They're going to try and protect the short boundary.
Ishwood in and pushes this one just wide-ish of the man there at point.
So we'll see a lot of spinners bowling from the Hall of Fame end, I think, this afternoon. And they'll probably bowl the quicks from the Bankstown Sports or high school end. But yeah, quite a big difference in length of boundaries.
Good start here from Bankstown. 7 runs off the first 4 balls. A bit of a discussion there between Nick Carruthers and Daniel Solway. .40 off 39 for Dan Solway in the conference final win against Parramatta at this very ground. Not a noted big hitter or striker of the ball, Dan Solway, so I guess we're probably not going to see a swashbuckling type innings with a strike rate of 140, 150, but can play a really good foil to some of the other batsmen that go after the bowling. He's good at working in the gaps, picking up those 1s and 2s, and a good runner between the wickets. He's more of a traditional cricket player. And he'll face his first ball here. Still 2 balls left in this, the first over. Isherwood to Solway is back and almost having his stumps removed there. That one whizzing past the outside edge. And Solway barely survives that first ball.
Yeah, really good first up delivery there to Solway from Isherwood. Solway's the anchor for the Bankstown team in these 20 over games. The stroke makers tend to play around him.
Isherwood in and just chipped out onto the onside. So Solway gets off the mark and he'll retain the strike here. But a solid first over here from Bankstown. 8 coming from it. They are none for 8 with Carruthers finding himself on 7. Unbeaten. Daniel Solway on 1.
Yeah, Bankstown will definitely be happy with that start. 8 runs off the first over. And now they're making... Who are they bringing on from the high school end? They're just looking to move the sight screens that are nowhere near in line with the pitch. And there's no one there to move them. So we've just got to delay while a few people wander around to get the sight screens in place. They're still in the same position, I think, from last weekend's game of cricket that they played here.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of urgency, does there? I think there's a couple of Bankstown officials now that are looking like they're jogging over from the Stephen and Mark War Pavilion.
One of the Bumblebees players is there trying to move the sight screen.
Certainly not what you want to be doing. Not that the player's been there for too long, Menners, but you can imagine moving that sight screen all day. If you're one of the bowlers or fielders out there, it's going to sap your energy and your enthusiasm quite a fair bit. I'd say it's a bit of a heave to pull it across to where it's going to take effect on this pitch that we're playing at.
He's been relieved though. Who was that? That was White, Bumblebee's White. So he they've now got that under control. And Bloomfield's coming on from the high school end. Solway will be on strike. We can see there's a slip, a gully, a point, a deep point, a cover, a mid-off, short fine leg and a sweeper on the square leg boundary and a mid-on. So the 2 men out are deep on the offside and onside. And just remember, if you've been watching lots of Big Bash cricket, there is a 6-hour, 6-over power play in the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup still.
Down the leg side, so that's a wide. Well, if there was a 6-hour power play, man, there's
no.
It really would be a batsman's game.
There's no power surges or bash boosts or anything like that. The traditional T20 6-over power play.
Do you like it like that, Menners?
I don't mind both rules. I wouldn't mind seeing a couple more in the Big Bash, maybe 6 overs and then 2 more.
This one coming forward and defended by Carruthers, so he's on the mark on this second ball, Charlie Bloomfield.
I don't think the bowlers are like that. I mean, I can already hear from the commentary box that the Uni of New South Wales side, they're energetic, they're talkative, a lot of noise coming from the field, a lot of encouragement. And we saw that in the game against Gordon in the semi-final. They're a very spirited young team, as you'd expect.
Bloomfield into Carruthers. It's forward, and he's just chipping it out onto the leg side. They'll get one. They think about a second, but herring in out there is White, Declan White, and keeps it to just the single. And they're a side that's backed themselves chasing in both the conference semi-final and conference final wins against the likes of Sydney Cricket Club and also Gordon. They've been able to chase in the second innings, I guess you could say, Menace. So that's obviously the plan for them again today. Win the toss, bowl first, try and keep things tight and let the batters do the job at the second part of the afternoon.
Yeah, I wonder if the captain Hayden McLean and Uni of New South Wales coach Corey Richards just wanted to stick to their game plan, which was, as you say, chase, because there is a school of thought that in a final, runs on the board can be quite valuable. You put the pressure on in that sort of do-or-die situation. So Uni of New South Wales have backed themselves. Let's see how they go.
Around the wicket this time is Bloomfield, and chopping hard and well-timed there, but great piece of fielding by Adrian Isherwood at backward point.
I mentioned the Uni of New South Wales coach Corey Richards, of course, played many years out at Bankstown. Was one of their very, very good first-grade players for a number of years, also played for New South Wales. So he's returning to his home patch and looking to steal the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup, take it back east.
This one ricochets off the pad. Is good running there by Solway. Carruthers had to get his skates on at the non-striker's end, but they get through, and a leak by is what will be called by the umpire. So another run to the total here for this Bankstown side.
Yeah, Nick Carruthers was interviewed earlier this season in the local paper and said that he feels he's playing the best cricket of his career. He's 31 and he feels he scored a century, and he just feels that he's kind of in that sweet spot where you just all coming together. So hopefully today we see a bit more of that.
Solway in and pushing. And a ball outside the off stump, almost catching the edge. Kind of rocked the head back in disgust there to Solway. He's got away with a couple of rash strokes here so far this afternoon.
Terrific delivery. Looked like it just moved off the seam a little.
Well, 31, 32 is kind of the age we see, particularly in Australian cricket, as batters, whether it's at state level or international level, really start to develop and maybe take that next step, whether it's maintaining their spot in the 11 or really pushing on and getting a mountain full of runs. So we'll be hoping that is the case for him. Bloomfield in, pitched up and trying to drive there with Solway, but mistimed. So that's a very tidy first over there for Jolly Bloomfield. Just the 3 runs coming from it. But a solid start nonetheless here for Bankstown. None for 11 after 2 minutes.
Yeah, very solid start. Both teams started well. It's exactly what you were saying. That while you get to about 30, 31, as a batter, you really should know your strengths and weaknesses in your game by then. And the smart players work out their limitations, work out where they can score runs, and stick to that sort of plan. And that's why Carruthers has done so well. And we saw him earlier this season bat very well in a game.
This ball is slapped over the top. Beautiful shot. And that will be the second boundary of the afternoon. This one a little bit more convincing than his first. Carruthers got a juicy full toss, metres outside the off stump, and just slapped it over the top for a welcome boundary.
Yeah, a bit of a gift there from Isherwood. And Carruthers did not miss. Often you can, unfortunately, plonk those straight into a fielder's hands if you're not careful, but Carruthers did not miss.
Waits here now, pushing forcefully out into the offside. There's a shot at the stumps. It was a great effort. It would have been touch and go. But he managed to get to the non-strikers end there to Nick Carruthers and pick himself up a single. And I guess when you look at this Bankstown Cricket Club, the lineup they've got today, has a lot of importance on these top 3 or 4 because Bankstown's success has probably been a lot to do with the ball and in the field this year. We've seen some really good performances bowling-wise. Isherwood in and Solway just knocks that one down the ground, no run. We saw them, I think, only get 127 when we were here last time and bowled Fairfield Liverpool out for 99. They bowled Hawkesbury out for 85. Most they've conceded is 144 in an innings so far in this tournament as Solway slaps this one out to the sweeper in the deep for a single. So if your bank's down, anything over 125, 130, you're going to be feeling like you're in with a big chance here this afternoon.
That's right. The two Bens, Ben Labasse and Ben Taylor, have bowled very well for Bankstown, especially in that semi-final, to get them here.
So Isherwood back to over the wicket this time. And this ball is hammered. That could be going all the way. It is. That's a huge hit on the offside. He really got hold of that one. Did Carruthers. A 4 and a 6 so far in this over, and he is taking the knives out here to Adrian Isherwood and this University of New South Wales side. Cracks a huge 6 over extra cover.
That ball was right in the slot.
Now he's punching down the ground. He's found a bit of green pasture. Good piece of fielding down there by Bloomfield. Will keep it to just the single, but already he looks in a mood this afternoon, doesn't he, Nick Carruthers? He's picked up 12, just that over himself. And at the end of the third over, Bankstown, after losing the toss and being sent in by their inner city rivals, a none for 24 after 3 overs. Carruthers 19 from just 10 with 2 4s and a 6. And Dan Solway, as we've spoken about in previous matches, just, I guess, the glue holding together this top order. He's 3 not out from 8.
The next player to come in is Ezekiel Ahmed, who has played very well in this competition, in particular for Bankstown.
It's a real goer at the top of the order, isn't he, Manners?
Made a dashing 50 in the preliminary final.
So just the one slip in place for Bloomfield, who bowled very tidily in his first over. Let's see what he has up his sleeve now. And this ball is slapped. That's another glorious strike. That's 6 more onto the hill. That was just picked up with consummate ease by Carruthers, who was playing quite a little innings here early on. Not an overly bad ball by Bloomfield, but he just flicked that across the line and it came right off the sweet spot of the bat.
You're hitting to the short boundary on the leg side. Full ball from Bloomfield and a lovely little flick behind square leg for 6. It's not a long boundary on the leg side, much longer on the other side. So Carruthers is targeting the hill. 25
from 11 now for Carruthers. 2 4s and 2 6s. And if nothing else, Manners laying a platform and boosting this run rate in the early overs for the rest of the batsmen to come. Bloomfield to Carruthers, who crashed it. That's 6 more. Oh, it's disappeared into the trees and smacked into the fence. So he's playing stick cricket at the moment. Just swings across the line. Again, the ball just in the slot. That's short of a length, line and length there. And Carruthers just effortlessly picked that up and crunched it over this backward square leg boundary for 6 more.
Yeah, this is not great bowling from Bloomfield. I think he's got to dig the ball into the pitch and make Carruthers play through the offside. This is right in Carruthers' arc. He's hitting across the line forcefully, timing the ball well. There's only one fielder out on the leg side. If he's going to keep this line, then they've got to bring the sweeper from, well, the man at third man across onto the onside, but they haven't done that.
31 not out. 26 have come from 4 and 6s. Bloomfield in, and he crunches this one. This will be 4 more. 1 bounce into the fence for 4. This is a masterful display of stroke making and stroke hitting here from Nick Carruthers. Again, that ball just allowed Carruthers just to take that or plant that foot down the wicket, Manners, and just play through the line.
Yeah, beautiful shot wide of mid-on. I'm not sure why McLean's still got a third man for Carruthers if Bloomfield's going to keep bowling this line. If he's going to bowl straight, then give Bloomfield some protection on the leg side. This is too easy for Carruthers at the moment.
35 from just 13. Bloomfield in. This is more runs. Is this going all the way? No, 1 bounce over the fence for 4. And this is a remarkable display here from Nick Carruthers. He is completely demoralised and shattered Charlie Bloomfield, who bowled really well in his first over, but has been taken apart with 2 6s and 2 4s in his first 4 deliveries. 20 off the over so far, Manners. None for 44.
As you say, Bloomfield started so well, just conceding 2 runs in his first over. But Carruthers, well, he's got his eye in, and now he's looking in superlative touch.
And then as such, it's been given a 6 in fact. So the decision's been changed from 4 until 6. They must have just cleared the rope there just inside the fence. So that's another 6 to Carruthers. But so difficult as a bowler, isn't it? When you get your line and length a little bit wrong, you see the ball disappear 2 or 3 balls in a row. So much pressure to get it back in the spot of where you want to bowl.
That's right. 3 sixes in 4 balls for Carruthers. This is scintillating stuff. And as you said, there is a rope just inside the fence, and that's there so we don't have any fielders injure themselves on the wooden fence trying to stop a ball. But yeah, 3 sixes in 4 balls, and what a start for Bankstown. They've dashed to none for 46 in the 4th over. Exactly what Solway would have wanted.
Bloomfield to Carruthers. He's back and swing across the line, and he's been given out, caught behind. So the flurry of 6s and 4s comes to an end. Bloomfield eventually is able to extract some revenge, but how damaging has this hitting display by Nick Carruthers been? 41 from just 15 balls, 3 4s and 4 6s, and he takes 22 off Bloomfield's second over. Bloomfield gets the last laugh. Bankstown lose their first. 1 ball left in the 4th over. They're 1 for 46.
Yeah, Bloomfield changed his line there and pushed the ball wide of off stump. Carruthers tried to swing across the line, but it wasn't quite short enough for that shot. And he got a faint tickle, and it was well taken by the keeper to effect the dismissal. And that's a vital wicket for Uni of New South Wales, who were getting absolutely caned by Carruthers. And now Ezekiel Ahmed comes to the crease in fine form, made a majestic half-century in the preliminary final, and now comes in with the Uni of New South Wales attack already on the back foot, Jack.
Yeah, not much relief, is it? You've got Ezekiel Ahmed, who's obviously not going to be striking the ball at the early part of his innings like we saw from Nick Carruthers, but a very talented striker of the ball and loves to get after the bowling attack. And a nice little platform's been laid when you think that run rate is just below 12 and over. Remarkable start by Bankstown, who haven't really been known in this tournament for getting really great starts at the top of the innings and scoring massive scores. It's been the bowling and fielding that's been getting the plaudits, but there's a great opportunity here this afternoon if they can continue along their merry way. 150 plus, certainly not out of the equation later on this afternoon. So Bloomfield's last ball of his over into Ahmed, who's just shouldering arms outside the off stump, realises that they've got 22 off this over and is happy to let that one go through to the keeper. So a wicket and 22 runs from the over. Quite an eventful one, really, here at the Bankstown Memorial Oval. And the 4 over mark. Bankstown 1 for 46 after being sent in. The man out, Nick Carruthers, caught Burns, bowled Bloomfield for 41 off 15 with 3 4s and 4 6s. And Solway, who's unbeaten on 3, has been joined by Ezekiel Ahmed.
Uni of New South Wales were getting a bit quiet when Carruthers was in full swing last over, but Bloomfield getting the wickets, just giving them a bit of a boost, and now White's coming into the attack.
So Declan White, he's been a very solid contributor for them this season. 2 for 28 off his 4 overs against Gordon. So he's come here bowling his right arm pace, and Solway leans on that and just tucks it into the onside and is able to collect a single there. Fella Balasingham just not able to quite reel that one in. So Solway moves along to 4. Hayden McLean scored 63 not out, batting at number 11 for the Uni of New South Wales on day 1 of their 2-dayer on Saturday. So showed his wares with the bat. He's been doing extremely well with the ball. 24 wickets in all competitions this summer, including taking a few in this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. In he comes once more, and this ball is slapped down the field. Didn't really get onto it, did Ezekiel Ahmed, but a couple of bounces over the rope for 4. Got enough of a chunk of it, Menners, just to lift it over that infield with the restrictions still in place for a few more overs. And that's the 50 up for Bankstown in the 5th over.
Yeah, it's come in rapid time after just 4.2 overs, and we're seeing an onslaught by the Bankstown top order. They're trying to make the most of this power play. 6 overs where there's only 2 fielders outside, and the bowlers are, well, they're hurting at the moment.
White in this one. This is going a long way. That's disappearing into the skyland. And Really, a few fans out there had to take cover to make sure they didn't pick up a concussion or something similar. That one was really out of the middle. He swung hard and heartily across a line at Ahmed, and all of a sudden he's smashed 10 runs in his last 2 balls. 1 for 57.
Well, you said when Ahmed came to the crease that he might not be batting like Carruthers. Well, he has been from the beginning. And again, Bankstown targeting the short boundary on the leg side. And we see someone come out with a drink for Solway. Thought maybe they were looking for the ball. I think they are looking for the ball. I see one of the Bumblebees players exit the ground. Thought that was because of the boundaries being hit, but no, he's just gone to get the ball. He's come back.
Well, Solway's got a pretty decent vantage point at the moment, doesn't he? He's got 4 not out of 9.
This is perfect for Solway. This is Solway's perfect role. Just at the other end, knock the single and let the other stroke makers around him take on the attack. I mean, we see that so often in big bash teams. They select one player to anchor the innings. Because you don't want to be losing wickets at both ends, because that's when you get into trouble and you get stuck.
Ahmed 10 not out of 3. What does White have this time? And the ball hits him on the pads. There's a big appeal. Umpire unmoved, says not out. That was a better delivery. Just seemed to pull the length back a little bit there. Menace got a bit of extra height and got Ahmed in just a little bit of discomfort there.
Yeah, it looked like a slight change of pace as well, and a good appeal, but the ball looked to be just slipping down the leg side from White. But Ahmed again looking to play onto the leg side.
Well, they like that short boundary, don't they? It's where all the runs have been coming. No surprises, really. It's smart cricket when you're doing it that way. 2 balls left in the 5th over. 1 for 57. What a start here by Bankstown. White in, pitches up, and Ezekiel Ahmed digs that one out down to third man, where Safan Hassan does the fielding.
So I think there's 2 men out on the leg side. You've got a sweeper on the boundary and then a deep long on. It's a no ball, so we'll have a free hit.
Well, that's the last thing the University of New South Wales wanted. Things are just not really going their way in these first 4 and a bit overs. What is White going to put up here to Solway? Solway back and cutting, lofted over the top. It's down towards that lung side of the boundary, but he'll pick up 4 for it. First boundary of the afternoon for Solway. He threw everything, including the kitchen sink, behind that one. It was short and as wide. It was swatted away by the Bankstown captain. 1 for 63.
Yeah, White dug it in short there, but he gave Solway too much width there.
His run rate more than 12 and over. Certainly not what a lot of people thought when they came here. Well, certainly not at this rate. White's in and Solway just chipping onto the leg side again. Working it around the corner and forcing Thanabala Singham to do the fielding. That's into the 5 overs. We're going to have a change in the commentary box. Andrew Mensel's going to jump out and Chris McPherson will be joining me shortly. 5 overs gone. 1 for 64. What a remarkable opening 5 overs here by this Bankstown Cricket Club. All led mainly off the willow of Nick Carruthers. 41 from just 15 from the 31-year-old opener with 3 4s and 4 6s. But since then, Ezekiel Ahmed has hit 11 from 4, and Jen Solway even getting in on the act, cracking a boundary in that last over to open up his account. 64 on the board, Chris McPherson. I dare say both sides wouldn't have dreamt of this, particularly the University of New South Wales, who have been accustomed to bowling first and won the toss earlier today, decided to field. They find themselves well behind the 8 ball at the moment.
They certainly are well behind the 8 ball, and it's been a bit of a batting clinic, as you said. First from Carruthers and now Ahmed. Solway took a while to get going, but getting in on the act there, making the most of that free hit in the last over. We've seen 40 runs off those last 2 overs, and it's been dispatched to all parts of the ground, including that 4 to the long boundary. So they're going to need to do something to pump the brakes on, and they've got a number of wicket-taking options, fortunately for them, the Bumblebees, in their bowling lineup.
So still 1 over left in this power play as well. So particularly with Ezekiel Ahmed at the non-striker stand, I think if he gets anything a little bit short or a little bit wide, he's going to be throwing the long handle at it. But if nothing else, have laid a magnificent platform for the rest of the batsmen to come. Sometimes you can put some pressure on that middle order when you're only going at 6 or 6.5 and over, and you're looking for runs in those final 4 or 6 overs. Thomas Scoble into the attack, worked off the pads there by Solway out into the deep, but a great piece of fielding by Adrian Isherwood, and a bullet-like throw in from the boundary keeps it to just the single. I'm sure Adrian Isherwood is pleased to be fielding in front of the grandstand there and not having the parochial Gordon crowd that he had to deal with last time he was playing.
They're a little bit more mild out Bankstown way, that's for sure.
Just a little bit.
Vocal nonetheless, but it certainly hasn't probably got the heat in it that some of the feedback from the Gordon crowd had. So good crowd in, though, on the public holiday here for the final, which is great to see, considering the heat.
So Scoble continuing. Zishan Ahmed faces up, and Ahmed just leans on that. Tucks it out into the deep. They might look for a second here. Ahmed is a quick turner. Isherwood with a shy at the non-striker's end, but Solway got home. That's a good piece of running by this pair.
You'd want to be confident of those 2 runs there taking on Isherwood. As we've seen, those last 2 deliveries, he's covering a lot of territory to get to the ball, but he's got a strong arm in the outfield, so they got home there, but they'll be very careful taking on the arm of Adrian Isherwood.
Scoble continuing, left arm over the wicket, and again they get it into the deep there. Thalabala Singham can't cut it off, and again they pick up 2 more, and poor old Adrian Isherwood, well, he feels like he's running on a treadmill at the moment because he's had to cover a fair bit of ground, as Chris has said, in 3 consecutive balls.
There's a lot of paddock out there that he's covering in that square leg region, isn't there? It's a large boundary, and there's no one in any proximity to him to help him out.
Scoble to Ahmed, and Ahmed just dropping the ball at his feet. Didn't really know where it was for a moment there.
Good bowling so far from Scoble. It certainly tightened it up after those last 2 very expensive overs that have laid quite a good start, as we've touched on. So for Bankstown.
Just the 2 balls left in this power play. They do have the 2 men out in the deep. You've obviously got Isherwood, we've been talking about, that deep square leg, deep mid-wicket fence, and a man down at long on. Scoble in, this one down the leg side. That'll be a wide. They can't really afford to be losing their line that drastically, this University of New South Wales side.
Don't want to be giving away any free runs at this point. Going at just around 11.5, almost 12 and over at the moment in this power play. So, yeah, the extras are going to cruel them almost as much as some of these misplaced deliveries otherwise.
Scoble to Ahmed, and Ahmed crunches one out through mid-wicket. That's going to go down to the boundary for 4. Smacked that hard. It was more power than timing, but it raced along the carpet, and despite Thalabala Singham doing his best there to try and haul that one in, it wasn't to be. 1 for 73.
It was an acrobatic effort there. If he had taken it, it would have been a catch for the ages, but just beat him, and another 4 runs to the total. They just keep finding that boundary fairly regularly, even in some of these tighter overs. They're doing a great job with the bat, Bankstown.
Well, Zishan Ahmed really made a name for himself in the conference final. He's doing the same here. So he nudges this one out to Isherwood in the deep. They might think about a second here, and taking off is Zishan Ahmed, and he gets back easily. They worked Isherwood out there, just knocked the ball around and forced him to do a fair bit of running. But a 4 and a 2 to end the over. A very healthy one once again there for the Bankstown Cricket Club. And they move themselves on to 1 for 76 off 6 overs. Not too many power plays yield you 76 runs, Chris. So that is very, very impressive stuff.
Normally a power play, if you get 9 or 10 and only drop 1 wicket, you'd be a very happy batting side. But to be going at north of 12 and over, almost 12 and a half and over, you won't see that very often. So they're on track for a fairly impressive total if they can keep up this batting. And obviously Ahmed showing some real intent, and Solway happy to play second fiddle and the rock, if you will. That's his traditional role. So certainly some questions being asked, that's for sure, of the Bumblebees bowling attack, as we talked about before. Plenty of wicket-taking options, but they've just been a little bit offline in a few different categories, and Bankstown have been more than happy to capitalise on that, especially with this shorter boundary.
Hayden McLean into the attack for the first time today. He's been a regular wicket-taker for the Bumblebees in this tournament. And Solway defends out to the offside. This pair, of course, they know each other pretty much like the back of their hand. Put on a second wicket partnership of 85 in that Thunder Conference final win against Parramatta. Parramatta really threw the kitchen sink at Bankstown early, but Zishan Ahmed 53 off 25. He had a couple of sixes and 5 boundaries in that knock. to guide them home to victory. And Solway hitting 40 from 39, holding up an end, much like he's doing now. As he faces McLean, it's a full toss, it's wide, it's slapped out into the deep. It won't be 4. Isherwood will be able to cut it off, and they'll come back for 2 more. Good piece of running by Ezekiel Ahmed as he scurried his way down to the non-striker's end.
He's certainly getting through plenty of work out there in that wide region that's now the point region from this end. But McLean won't want to be delivering rank full tosses outside off stump too frequently because he won't get away with just 2 runs for them.
McLean in, driven forcefully, but straight to the captain, McLean, at short cover. It's an interesting field that the Uni of New South Wales have, Chris. They've obviously got some protection out deep on the leg side. They've got a deep square leg, but they've also got a deep fine leg, a deep third man, and then they've got Isherwood in that sweeper position that's probably a roving cover point at the moment, but he's going to cover a fair bit of ground out there. Haven't seen too much down at third man today, but maybe there's something else that Uni of New South Wales plan that they're bowling to, or might be bowling to later in the innings. McLean in, and this one chopped backward a point, and that man at third man will run around and pick it up, and he has to get on his bike here. To Solway, he dives and just gets home in the end. The throw just a little bit wayward. Bails were removed, but the Bulldogs captain did just enough to get home. He picks up 2 more.
Yeah, Thomas Burns there. Had he had a throw any closer to the stumps, I think he might have ripped the pegs out before Solway could get there, and looks like Solway might be calling for some new gloves after that. Just the throw, as you said, Jack, a little wayward, and unfortunately he couldn't quite stretch out to the stumps. If he had been within arm's length of the stumps when he reeled that in, I think Solway would have been in a lot of trouble.
The University of New South Wales at the moment, Chris, obviously things have gone wrong. You've won the toss and you've obviously got a plan that you're bowling to, and I'm sure they would have envisaged this first 40 deliveries going a little bit differently. But the side's 1 for 80, Bankstown well and truly on top. What's the chat going to be out there for Uni of New South Wales? How do they turn this around and maybe chase something around that 150, 160 mark and not let it balloon out to 190?
I think it's just about adhering to that plan. They'll have that plan in mind, as you said, and we'll come back after this delivery.
McLean into Solway, cutting over the top. It's a thick outside edge, but just bounces its way down to third man for the single.
Yeah, certainly just resuming that plan. They'll have probably a plan A and a plan B for most of the batsmen and their bowlers. They'll know who they're coming to. They know what to expect, especially with the sort of top 4 or 5 bowlers. So just about landing them. We saw some inconsistency from Bloomfield and White. They copped a bit of treatment. Then we saw Scoble cop a little as well. So it's just about finding that line that they've planned out. They've got, as you said, a fairly unique field set for a reason, so getting back to that plan and trying to restrict the run rate.
McLean in, that's wide, it's punished, it's a beautiful shot. Isherwood, he's not going to get there. Could have been Usain Bolt and he wasn't going to get there. That is one of the shots of the day. We've seen some magnificent stroke play, but that was just like a tracer bullet off the lower half of the bat. Ahmed with a glorious square drive ends another very fruitful over for the Bulldogs. 7 overs gone. They are 1 for 85. Ahmed has now moved himself along to 25 from 11. Solway, he's playing anchor once again, 15 not out from 17.
We talked about it just before that delivery, bowling to the plan, and again, that's the second time that over. McLean bowled a really full ball, a little bit too full and a little bit too wide. Just capitalised on, and it went to the boundary. These batsmen are showing that they're seeing them well, so if you're going to give them a little bit of margin, they're going to make you pay for it, and we've seen it far too often already, and that's the reason why 7 overs in, they're still going at more than 2 runs a ball, 1 for 85. It's a very good platform that they'd be really happy with the home side here, and they'll be looking to go on with this. Even a run a ball from here, you're going to add, you end up north of 150, so you'd expect they'll be probably eyeing off a total 170, 180 maybe here at least, even if they sort of pump the brakes a little bit. So going to be a very tough day for UNSW unless they can start to get some wickets and get a bit of a breakthrough here.
It does look a good pitch as well. Obviously, chasing runs can always be difficult, Chris, but the pitch looks like it's playing pretty true. We saw a little bit of grass coverage on there, but there doesn't seem to have been too many demons out there at the moment, as we'll see a change in the bowling here. It's Thalabala Singham is coming into the attack for the first time today.
Yeah, certainly the batsmen not finding any demons. No one's really seen any trouble with dealing with any of the deliveries.
Thalabala Singham in, full toss, and takes a deflection off the leg of the captain, McLean, and they'll get through for a single.
Something else that Bankstown have done really well, and we've seen a couple of close calls, but just putting the pressure on the fielders, turning those 1.5s into 2s, and they've got home every time. So they continue to do that. Heads drop a little bit. The pressure's really on the Bumblebees now in the field to step up, either take a wicket or create something.
This one thundered down the ground there by Ezekiel Ahmed. He's looking to really open the shoulders up, isn't he, at the moment? Anything that's maybe a little bit short in front of him and gives him a chance just to hit through the line or square the wicket, he's going to go for. He's looking in good touch. Solway back on strike. He's forward and just dropping that onto the onside. It's smart cricket by Solway. Probably knows he doesn't have the same big hitting ability as some of the other players, and just looking just to knock that ball around the park, pick up the ones.
Yeah, Thunderborough Singham certainly just looking to bowl fairly straight here, because if he puts it outside that off stump with that short boundary, he has got a little bit of protection, but there's plenty of room out there for him to take him to the boundary. And
this will be stumped. Ahmed's gone. And Southergan Thalabala Singham gets a big breakthrough, and he enjoys it with his teammates. An important one as well, because Ezekiel Ahmed was looking in good touch. Tired him down a little bit in terms of just giving away singles in this over. And Ahmed, he'll be annoyed with himself. Took a couple of steps down the track, Chris McPherson tried to hit him back over his head, but he was deceived by some flight and maybe a bit of lack of pace there from Thalabala Singham. He gets an important breakthrough, 2 for 88 in the 8th.
Yeah, it just looks like he took a little bit of pace off, and as we talked about just before that delivery, just a little bit of width, and the eyes lit up for Ahmed, and I think he was going to try and punish him over that offside boundary, but missed it too far down the pitch, and absolutely easy as you like for wicketkeeper Tom Burns there, and he made no mistake. A good stumping opportunity, and look, now's the time for them to capitalise on that. If they can get a second wicket here back to back, they can start to apply some pressure. As we said, there hasn't been real need for Bankstown yet in this competition to bat too deep too often. So a lot of the guys who are batting lower haven't been exposed to the T20 batting this season, and that's something the Bumblebees are going to need to capitalise on, I think, if they're going to get back on top in this game.
So Ahmed goes for 26 off 13, 3 fours and a 6. Stumped by Thomas Burns. He did a smart bit of work behind the stumps. He's been looking good so far in this tournament, and did his job there as he helped his teammate to pick up a wicket. But batsmen 1 and 3 haven't gone on to get massive scores, but they've scored very, very quickly. But it means that the new man in, he's facing up now as he advances down the track, is Mitch Brown. And just straight to the offside.
It'd be interesting to see what Brown can do here. Pace has been set, so there's not a lot of pressure on him. He can take his time really to get his eye in, you'd think, and just settle into this innings.
It's forward and knocking that onto the offside, and does enough to keep it away there from the fielder to get through for the single. So a nice little over there from Southergan Thalabala Singham. He picks up his first wicket of the afternoon, and a much needed and much important second breakthrough for the Bumblebees. 2 for 89 after 8 overs. That run rate still a tick above 11 and over. Quite the start that was made by Carruthers, 41 from 15, and Ahmed Justice Smith, 26 from 13. Solway still there. He is 17 unbeaten from 19. Hasn't really gone after the bowling. He's been the anchor so far and doing a good job for the home side.
You'd think he'd be wanting to bat fairly deep now. They've lost those two key high-tempo batsmen, Solway, because if he can stay there till the end, then you're pretty confident they're going to post a very strong total here, Bankstown, on their home ground of Bankstown Memorial Oval. So
McLean, is out on the offside. That's your Hayden McLean that's bowling now, and he just a single off the first ball. Just giving him a little bit of width outside that off peg.
His last over was pretty good, apart from those just 2 full tosses that were a little bit wider. The length outside of that, if you can be consistent with that, a few dot balls, a single and a 2 off the rest of the over. Just those wider, fuller deliveries that really cost him. Very dangerous at his best, Hayden McLean.
McLean to Solway, and Solway just whips that across the line out to mid-wicket, and he's pretty happy just to trundle through for the single to move himself to 18.
Just took a bit of pace off that one, McLean. So he's got a good change of pace. Usually it can be quite hard to pick up, but just trailing it onto the legs made it easy for Solway to deal with.
And they'll just be looking to pull it back a little bit, Uni of New South Wales. They had the wicket last over and only 5 runs coming from it. And so far this over hasn't got out of their hands just yet, although that's a very poor wide delivery, which will be called a wide.
They really can't afford it now. That's the real pressure release. We haven't seen a boundary for an over and a half, which is probably the longest break in this innings. And the extras, though, they just release the pressure for the batsmen. Even though they're turning over some singles here, they'll be feeling like they've slowed right down, especially Solway, who's out there. They're still scoring, as you said, about 5 and over, which is fine with where the tempo is, but those extras just really create a release for the partnership.
McLean back in, and this one driven forcefully down the grounds, and Brown will scurry his way down to collect a single. So 2 for 93 for Bankstown. They were sent in earlier this afternoon, which is, I guess, no real surprise to anyone that's been watching this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. Those of you that are subscribed to the Daily Telegraph, it's been their methodology for most of the season in both the Sixers Conference semi-final win over the Sydney Cricket Club and the Sydney Sixers Conference final win over Gordon. They both bowled first and chased successfully. McLean in, and Solway driving well, and Safan Hassan does well to get across there and keep it to just the single. So nice bit of work there by their middle order batsman.
Did quite well there, Hassan. We saw in the conference final he was targeted a little bit by the Gordon batsman in the field. May not be the most mobile of fielders, but did really well to get across, cover that ground and shut that down and keep it to a single. So props where it's due to Hassan there in the field.
Another one of those big hitters. He might be called upon this afternoon for the students. And this hole is crunched through the offside. Hassan again does well. A little bit of a misfield and might let him get back for a second. And the throw was a bit of a wild one, but he did save 2 runs there. That was going for 4 if he didn't get across. And a couple more there to Mitch Brown, who's come out with looking to keep that tempo flowing. He's been scoring quickly and running those 1s and 2s very, very hard.
He's still doing a really good job there, Solway and Brown, putting the pressure on the fielders, pushing those 1s into 2s.
McLean to Brown, and Brown again driving well, and we'll pick up the single there as Brandon McLean does the fielding. End of the over. It's another healthy one for the home side. 9 overs through in this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup final, and they are 2 for 97. With Solway having moved himself along to 19, and Brown is currently there on 6. So a bit of a partnership forming between this pair. 100 at 10 overs is a really good start, isn't it, Chris? And you'd think that Bankstown will do that in a canter. It sets you up as well. You've got another 10 overs to go. You've got 8 wickets in the shed. Obviously, there's some guys that haven't had a whole lot of batting practice in this format, but 100 in the first 10, you're really pushing for at least 180, 190, and maybe even trying to reach that 200 mark.
Well, that's it. 8 and over from the 10th is quite easy to do.
Alabala Singham in and using his feet, Brown, and just crunching that one down to the long one for the single.
Yeah, and as we know, quite often in T20 they'll look at it, and once you get to sort of 1 less than you've got wickets in the shed in terms of overs, so if they get to the 13th over, then that's when they'll start to put the accelerator down if they're still only 2 down. And they do have a little bit of batting to come, as you said, untested.
Solway faces and gets an outside edge. It squeezes its way onto the offside. He's bowled well here, Southergan Thalabala Singham. He's put it in good areas. He's made it just a little bit uncertain for the batsman, not really knowing whether to come forward or back, just in that uncertain range, short of a length on the stumps.
Yeah, he's just got them in 2 minds. We saw that. It's what got the wicket earlier once he delivered a bit of width.
This one's thrown up plenty of air. This one's slapped in the air. He hasn't got onto it, and an excellent catch. One of the catches of the tournament, really. Oh, I thought there was no way that man coming in from the deep would have been able to take that. It wasn't well timed by Brown, and it really just hung in the air for a long time. And it was Declan White, the fast bowler, that has screamed in, head in from the deep, and got his fingers under the ball just before it touched the grass. That is international calibre fielding there from the number 13 for the Bumblebees. And again, Southergan Thalabala Singham is the man to get the breakthrough. He picks up his 2nd wicket, and 3 wickets down now.
And again, just giving a little bit of width out there. So they decided to hit across the line. And Declan White, as you said, a phenomenal effort to take that catch coming across. It looked for all money like it was going to pierce the gap between the 2 fielders and just land safely. But he covered ground rapidly and then took it out in front of himself. Look, you know, there's, as you said, international standard cricketers or AFL players that'd be very happy with taking that sort of catch out in front of them. He had a lot of work to do and did very well, Declan White.
I'm just going to take this opportunity, Chris, to jump out of the commentary box with a drinks break happening on what is a very hot day. But Andrew Menzel is going to join you with Bankstown now, 3 for 99 in the 10th over.
As you said there, Jack, the drinks break now being taken a little bit early, 3 for 99 Bankstown, and we'll have Menas rejoining us in the commentary. Another wicket here, and you'd have to think that the Bumblebees are back about, but a lot of work to be done. Menas, things have certainly changed since you were last in the commentary booth at the end of the 5th over. UNSW back amongst it now, but Bankstown still with the upper hand with the runs on the board.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chris, and hello, viewers, wherever you're watching, exclusively on the News Corp Daily Telegraph Network. What great coverage of Premier Cricket, Interact Sport and the Daily Telegraph have provided this summer so far. Look, this is exactly what the Bumblebees needed, and I love calling Uni of New South Wales the Bumblebees, so I'm just going to stick with that for the rest of the game. But the Bees needed to take wickets. When Ahmed and Solway were together, they looked like they were going to score 200 plus. But 2 quick wickets, now 3 for 99. Uni of New South Wales will just feel they've got a slight opening. 2 batters at the crease. Cormac and Solway, who's not a noted stroke maker, can they just slow things down a bit and get control back of this innings?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Cormac probably the last of their tested batters that's had a real opportunity to put some runs on the board so far in this season. So another wicket here, and as you say, the Bees, as you call them, the Menas, their nickname is, they'd certainly be right back amongst this. They can start to put the pressure on and then tighten up, but we've seen Thana Balasinghe has certainly got amongst the pigeons, throwing the cat amongst the pigeons. Now that he's come on, he's taken 2 wickets, and he'll be looking to continue on with that form as he'll come into Solway now.
So just 3 balls left in the 10th over. Solway on strike. What a catch by White before the drinks break. Just sensational. Coming in low down. That's a good ball from Singh, and Solway just nudges behind point on the offside and takes off for a quick single. And that's the 100 for Bankstown. 3 for 100 after 9.4 overs.
Considering the fall of wickets occurring, they've done quite well to get to 100 so quickly. Jack and I talked about it earlier, man. It's quite easy generally to score between 8 and 10 and over in the back half of the innings with wickets in the shed. So they'll be aiming for something high in the 100s here.
To Cormac, who nudges his first ball of the day into the onside. No run. 2 for 7. Great start for the left arm leg spinner. Driven into the offside for a single, and Cormac gets off the mark. And that is the end of the 10th over. Chris is going to step out of the commentary box, and got a special guest coming in to join me in a moment. But yes, after 10 overs, Bankstown 3 for 101. 60 balls left. What can they get? They'll be eyeing up a total of around 200. But Uni of New South Wales will be doing everything in their power to restrict them. The key is protecting that short boundary on the leg side. And joining me in the commentary box now is Harry Solomons from Kingsgrove Sports. Hi, Harry. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Welcome to the commentary box. How have you enjoyed supporting the T20 Cup this season?
Oh, well, we've always been supporting it, isn't it? Is it the 5th year or fifth year? 5th year. So, and the great thing is it appears to be that a new team wins it every year.
Yes,
which is great for cricket.
That's right. Well, both of these teams haven't won the title before, so we're going to get a new champion. How's Kingsgrove Sports Centre going?
Very well, very well. It's been a fairly decent cricket year. We've clawed back since the COVID, and at the moment there's quite a bit of interest in cricket. So it's been a fairly successful year despite the COVID.
Oh, good to hear. It's been a tough year for business and retail, so glad you've been still selling a few bats. Scoble's first ball to Cormac just beat the outside edge. I first came to your shop, well, I'm not going to give away my age, but here's Scoble again. It was with Russell Fairfax to interview Mark Waugh when he was working at the old shop.
That's a while ago.
It is. I was doing work experience.
Probably over 25 years ago.
That's right, yeah. I'm trying to sort of work around the age thing, but been servicing cricketers in this city for many, many years. Scobling again, and Cormac just nudges into the offside, no run. What do you think of the play so far? Bankstown have looked very good.
I think it's a good batting wicket. It's a good ground. I think they've got off to a fairly decent flyer, and they've still got Solway there. He'll add a bit of starch into the middle now, and I think they're going well. But I don't think it's all over yet.
No, attempted run out there, and I think Scoble would have been out there. So Cormac would have been out. Almost a run out. Brings Solway back onto strike. Yeah, I think this Uni of New South Wales side are quite fearless. They're a spirited young team. They've got that rising star, Jack Attenborough, at the top of the order, who they could chase anything.
Absolutely.
Scoble it again and beats the bat of Solway. It's a good delivery.
We'll
looks
need
like
a pretty good score here from Solway.
Yeah, it looks like good batting conditions too. Yeah. Solway's the anchor of the innings, I feel. He's got to be there at the end, and the strike makers around him can take on the attack.
Absolutely spot on. And just for your information, Solway is one of our Kingsgrove Sports ambassadors. He uses my cricket gear.
Fantastic.
So that's great to see him still there.
Solway just nudging into the offside for a single at the end of 11 overs. The score now 3 for 103. Do you get a lot of the cricketers coming in and fiddling around with your bats and picking them up?
Well, it always happens every cricket year. But this year, we're not getting the name players in because of the bubble.
Yes.
Usually, you'll always find a Smith or a Warner or somebody walking in, or a state player walking in and looking at new gear or getting their bats repaired, and etc. Now it's all by message, the stuff sent to you, then you send the stuff back, and, because of the bubble. So it's slightly different.
Solway there just nudging behind point on the offside, no run. Singh's bowled so well, 2 for 8 into his third over. He's really put the brakes on this Bankstown innings. And where are you at the moment, Harry, with knocking in bats? Because there seems to be a modern way now that some people don't like to knock in their bats, some people like to knock in their bats. What do you recommend for all the youngsters?
Well, we knock in the bats.
You knock them in?
It's a part of our business. When we sell a bat, we knock it in and we sleeve it. That's all done free of charge.
Fantastic.
So that's something that we have done. And 99% of the customers today want us to knock in their bats, and which we do. You'll always get the odd cricket tragic who would like to oil his own bat and knock it in, and that's fine. But we always roll the bats, then we spend a week knocking in the bats, and then the customer is given the bat, and he's also required to use it for about another week and just bring it into play over about a week, So the knocking in process still is still strong.
But you take the pain out of it. No more days and days sitting with a ball on the end of a mallet.
Absolutely. A lot of these young cricketers also today live in units. So it's knocking in
You're not too popular with the neighbours when you're knocking in a bat.
It can be a noisy process, and especially today a big customer base of ours is the subcontinental customer, and they all live in units. So, and they are very, very good customers, and they come in, buy the stuff, and they expect you to knock the bat in.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Harry, thanks so much for joining me in the commentary box.
Lovely.
And thanks so much for Kingsgrove Sports' support of the competition. It's really much appreciated.
Always a pleasure. We owe that to the game, and we'll always continue.
Thanks,
Thank
Harry.
you.
Nice to see you. Harry Solomon stepping out from Kingsgrove Sports. Getting Chris McPherson back in here, and Scoble bowling from the Hall of Fame end to Solway, who just nudges to mid-off for a single. Chris McPherson, welcome back. Did you used to knock your bats in?
My bats didn't need too much knocking in because they didn't get much work, unfortunately. A specialist fine leg fieldsman most of the time, but yeah, it was an arduous process when you did get a new bat.
Great that Kingsgrove Sports does all of that, and what fantastic supporters of cricket they are in this state. Just hit over the man at mid-off there, Cormac, lofting it, and that's gone away for 4. Just enough elevation to get over the fielder there, and that's the boundary for Cormac. He moves on to 7, his first boundary of the innings. The score now 3 for 111.
After that rocketing start, first boundary in 5 overs, Menners. So they've done a really good job, the Bumblebees, to clamp the run rate right back down. Only 19 runs off the previous 5 overs, as well as the 2 wickets. So they've done a great job to really slow the Bankstown side down. Hopefully that wasn't the one that unleashes the screws for the sake of the Bees, because we brought this right back to being a solid contest.
Scoble in from the Hall of Fame end. Cormac just nudges down to third man for a single, 3 for 112. Yeah, you're right. Since Thana Balasingham has come on, he's put the brakes on.
He certainly has. 3 overs, 2 for 11. It's very much a fairly distinct juxtaposition with some of the early bowlers.
Scoble in again, and it's driven into the offside. The sweeper does the fielding. I feel like that's just going to be such a crucial tactic the rest of this innings. Uni of New South Wales have to protect the short boundary, which is to the right where Scoble's bowling now, and make Bankstown hit to the long side.
It seems like the obvious tactic now with so much real estate out there on that offside.
Scoble to Cormac, who's down the track and driving over the bowler's head in the air, and the sweepers come around and kept it to 2. Nice shot from Cormac, hitting straight.
Cormac's starting to see it well. A few runs off this over now for him.
Solway's dropped anchor at the non-striker's end. The captain, the New South Wales representative.
He's got a job to do here, Menners, I think, just to stay to the end of the innings, allow Cormac now to start going and flourishing.
That's right. He's Scoble and again delivers, and it's wrapped him on the pads, but no chance of that being given out, and they will take a leg bye. The McDonald's Premier Cricket umpire signalling leg bye. See the big golden arches on his back.
Done a very good job across the games we've covered. The stand of umpiring very good so far in this Kingsgrove T20 competition, Menners, the McDonald's Sydney District umpires.
They've done a very good job. They just don't get the scrutiny that they're getting at the Big Bash and international level with all the replays and tracking, and it's not easy being an umpire. Here's Thana Balasingham again, and nudged into the offside by Cormac. Just gets a single. Brings Solway back onto strike. The Kingsgrove Sports ambassador, Harry just told me, wearing Kingsgrove Sports gear. Solway waits for Thana Balasingham. Throws it up. Nice delivery and push down the ground for a single. Solway on to 27 now. The score 3 for 117. Thana Balasingham in again to Cormac, and he's using his feet, lofting high and handsomely, and that's 6 over Longoff's head and onto the hill, and Cormac hits his first 6 of his innings today.
Beautiful stroke down the ground there. He's used his feet well, and look for a moment like that fielder on the fence might have had an opportunity, but that's the first boundary off Thalabala Singer and well hit onto the hill.
He threw it up there, tempted Cormac, and he dined out on it. What will he do? Will he go again? No, he's back and cutting into the offside for a single. Thalabala Singer was not throwing that one up, that's for sure. Score now 3 for 124.
And Solway just a little bit of gardening before he takes strike.
Waits. Quicker ball nudged into the offside and they set off for a single.
Just been happy to try and move the field about and turn the strike over Solway. Play that anchor role. And continue to allow the more aggressive batsman to take the strike.
Cormac defends into the offside and they just trot through for an addition to the score. Score 3 for 126 now after 14. 3 for 127 after 14 overs.
By far the most expensive over from Thalabala Singer.
He finishes with the figures of 2 for 22 of 4 overs. Terrific spell, 2 vital wickets, and they have helped the Bumblebees, Uni of New South Wales, get back into this contest. They've got that run rate now well below 10 and over. And Chris, when you stepped into the commentary box, they were going at 12 and over. Bankstown now under 10 and over. And Uni of New South Wales are clawing their way back into this final.
Certainly are. It looked like it was going to blow out a contest early. That run rate got up to almost 13 at one point. They were just bombing balls onto the hill. There was crowd members scattering every second delivery, it seemed. As we see Declan White rejoin the attack.
Cormac on strike as a short ball and cut into the offside. They think about 2, but pretty smart fielding there on the boundary from Isherwood. Kept it just to 1. Brings Solway back on strike. Yeah, God, when the ball was disappearing all over the place, the Uni of New South Wales team would have been a bit worried that they were going to get blown out of the contest early, but no. Wide in again, it's short ball and it's nice delivery. Just cut back in towards Solway, who was unable to get any bat on that. And a very precious dot ball here at Bankstown Oval. If you're just switching on across the Daily Telegraph network, well, that's right, it's the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup final. It's all on the line on this hot Sydney afternoon. Bankstown hosting Uni of New South Wales. Wide in again. That's wrapped Solway on the pad, but he's well down the pitch.
Didn't quite look convincing, but he's, as you said, well down the pitch, and it's come off the pads for another leg bye.
Score 3 for 129. It's been 15 years since the Uni of New South Wales have tasted any silverware in the McDonald's New South Wales Premier Cricket competitions, and 5 years for Bankstown since they won a title. Wide in again, it's always down the Cormac's down the pitch and under edging. No run. Dot ball again. Still 3 for 129.
It's been a great recovery. Bankstown would have certainly thought themselves very good chances early on to continue the run. We've only had, this is only the 4th time a final's been hosted by a home side, and the home sides have won 2 of those 3. So they would have been really fancying that when they were going early, whereas now they'd be starting to think that UNSW, the Bumblebees, are right back in this one, Menners.
Wide into Cormac, who's driving in the air, the man in the deep. It's bounced short of the fielder, Hussain, out there, and they just get 1. Some shouting coming from the locals, suggesting that perhaps the fielder didn't really try and catch that ball, but I think he would have been struggling to get there and take that catch.
It's interesting, his field positioning here. He was sort of halfway in between the inner circle and the boundary, and now he's just dropping back a little.
Last ball of the 15th over. So always cutting to backward point, and they set off for a single. There's I think about an overthrow, but it's not there. That's the end of 15. Score here 3 for 131. see Matt, Chris McPherson stepping out. Just a brief appearance in and out. Thank you, Chris. Joining me is Jack Clifton. And after 15 overs, 3 for 131, 5 overs to go. Bankstown will be eyeing up a score of around 180 from here. Isherwood being brought back into the attack from the high school end. Jack, what do you think of the situation?
Pleasure to be with you, Manners. It's ebbed and flowed a little bit. I thought the Uni of New South Wales might have just been sneaking their noses back into the game with a couple of those quick wickets to Thalabala Singham. But Bankstown still firmly in the driver's seat. I'm sure targeting 50 off these last 5. I think 180 would be a very difficult score to chase down. I think if Uni could keep it around that 160 mark, between 160, 170, maybe they that might kind of lean upon their favour. But these next 2 overs are going to be key.
Isherwood in again, bowling around the wicket, and Solway's taken 2 steps down the wicket and lofted him high and handsomely over long on, onto the hill for 6. Score now 3 for 137. Solway moves on to 35. What a shot.
I've been commentating down Solway for a few years. I have to say, it's probably the first time I've ever seen him hit a 6, but he hit that really, really sweetly. Used his feet well, got to the pitch of the ball, and just you heard the real crack off the bat, didn't you? And it sailed and sailed and sailed. Beautiful strike for 6.
Very nimble footwork there to get to the pitch of the ball. Here's Isherwood. What can he do? He's a bit flatter there and driven to the short cover. No run. Isherwood in again. Solway waits. It's a much quicker delivery and just nurdled to backward point for a single. I think you're right, Jack. Uni of New South Wales will be very comfortable chasing 160, 170. I don't think they'd feel that was out of the reach, their reach, the way they've been batting this summer. That's another full ball and driven over cover by Cormac, and a bit of a fumble there by the sweeper. And he's whipped it in, and the batters get 2. Brings Cormac back on strike. The score 3 for 140 in the 16th over. Isherwood, the hero of the preliminary final, bowling around the wicket. Quicker, shorter ball, and Cormac's up to it. Again, just nudging for a single. 3 for 141 now. Solway. Saw him hit a 6 first ball this over. Will he try and repeat the dose? And he's been invited to by Isherwood, who threw it up, and Solway accepted the invitation gladly and hit it straight over Isherwood's head for 4. Couple of bounces and into the fence under the sight screen. That was a classy shot by Solway. And the score now 3 for 145. And Solway has rocketed to 40 of 40 deliveries, a strike rate of 100.
Yeah, beautiful shot. He's really got his eye on now, doesn't he, Manners? And he hit that one really hard. That was really, really travelling. Fielder that was down there at long off. He didn't have too far to travel, but he'd barely taken 3 or 4 steps and the ball had crashed into the fence. So a lot of confidence being played by the New South Wales representative, the Bankstown captain. He's certainly leading from the front. And an important innings as well. Obviously, there's been other players around him that have scored quicker and hit some more of those big shots. But he's been, I guess, the real mainstay holding that innings together. And now he's getting the rewards later on in the innings.
Wide into Cormac, who's cutting in the air, over backward point for 4. Waited for that short ball nicely and just smashed it over backward point into the pickets. Cormac moves along to 28 of just 22 deliveries. The score 3 for 149.
Yeah, that 150's been knocked on the door now, Manners, and we've seen 3 or 4 really good shots. The aggressiveness tempo is certainly being ramped up here by the Bankstown Bulldogs.
Wide in again. Cormac's hitting that high in there. It's gone very high. The man at long off's coming around. He's right in front of me, and he's taken the catch. Excellent catch there by Scoble, I think that was. Right in front of the commentary box here at deep long off, and Cormac goes for a brisk 28 of 23 deliveries, exactly what Bankstown needed at that stage.
Yeah, he came in and played a good innings there. No shame in falling to something like that. You've got to be throwing the
plenty
bat
of wickets in the hand,
and it was one that could have easily been put down. It was a very good catch by Scoble in the air. In the end, was in the air for a long time, and he got under it safely. Good technique there with the hands, and I'm sure they'll be relieved to see the back of Cormac. Always good to get some fresh meat in the latter part of the overs. So they'll be looking to just focus on this new batsman and just try and tie them down. Get a couple of dot balls, maybe Jimenez, and see if they can just twist the momentum a little bit into their favour.
Dan Nakotra coming out to bat. But we just saw Cormac there swing sort of across the line, not really with a straight bat, not really with a cross bat shot. It was sort of in between, and then it caught the top edge. And White got a vital wicket. And Uni of New South Wales do need to keep taking wickets to try and slow things down towards the end here. Bumblebees look great in their outfits out there, buzzing around in the field, energetic.
I get it. Nice wordplay there, Manners. Probably been saving that one up, I'd say.
Wide into Solway, who's just turning that ball nicely behind square on the onside, and they take two. Good fielding by the man on the boundary there. I think that's Thanabala Singham, who did the tidying up. 2 runs for Solway.
150 up now for Bankstown. It's always a nice little psychological edge getting past that 150 mark. Anything over 150, particularly in this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup, can be difficult to chase down.
Wide in again. Solway waits, and it's wrapped him on the pads, and the bowler's field, and he's had a shy at the stumps and almost ran out Solway, who was diving back. White energetic in his follow through. And a dot ball, a vital dot ball here towards the end of the innings.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times. Poor old Dan Solway's had to dive into his crease to make his grounds, and just a bit of miscommunication between him and Dan Nakotra there.
And Dan Solway's going to play a vital role in the New South Wales Blues' second half of the season. So he's looking in good form, which is good for the New South Wales Blues. He just shanked that one into the mid-wicket region, and they take 2. Didn't time that at all, but it worked in his favour because they got 2 runs. The score 4 for 153 with just 1 ball left in the 17th over. Yeah, I think with so many players going on tours, reportedly going on tours to New Zealand and South Africa with the 2 Australian squads, someone like Solway will become a very important member of the New South Wales Blues Sheffield Shield side. Wide into Solway. The full ball, and he just squirts it to third man for a single. Dug it out. Got the shovel out, and that's the end of 17. The score 4 for 154 in the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup final for the 2021 season.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting point you bring up, Menners, because you think that the likes of your Sean Abbotts and your Moses Henriquez and different players like that will be on those tours. So maybe someone from this first grade set up, someone like a Thomas Jago from North Sydney, who's scored over 700 runs in the first grade competition and is hitting centuries left, right and centre, could be coming into the reckoning. So
man right here, Jack Attenborough, the 19-year-old.
Might have to have a look at his first grade stats.
It's not bad. I had a look. He's not right at the top of the run scorers, but he's had a pretty decent
sometimes
season.
You can just throw a chance to someone that's a bit of an X factor. And
we saw Jack Edwards and Jason Sanger get an opportunity a couple of years ago to get some experience for New South Wales in the Shield. Perhaps the New South Wales selectors will certainly be watching. First ball of the 18th over is driven past the bowler nicely by Solway, and they get a single. The skipper, McLean, bowling from the high school end. Skipper to skipper. While both skippers are in action, they were both interviewed coming into this game, and both pointed to the fact that the reason they've got here is because they've had contributors right down the order in both teams. They're not just built upon a couple of stars. Here's McLean, and it's driven in the air down to long on, and they again take two.
And I think,
nice shot by Nkotra.
I think you need that menace, particularly with what University of New South Wales are going to be chasing. You can't expect an Isherwood or a Scoble to necessarily go out there and get 80 or 90 not out. I think it's going to have to be an even spread of contributors, and that's something that Uni of New South Wales have done with the bat. You even just look in this last game against Gordon, both Jack Attenborough, who hit a half century, and Isherwood hit another half century to get them home in that one.
McLean in, and Nkotra's driving nicely to long on, and they're going to take two. Solway's coming back. He would have been out if that was a direct hit.
Gone by a country mile.
But they are taking on the fielders.
And I think one thing, man, is that Uni of New South Wales will be confident about is the fact that they chased down 150 plus in that last game against a very strong bowling outfit that Gordon had. Admittedly, it was only 151 or 152 that they chased down. But I think when you do that psychologically, it can give you a bit of an advantage and some confidence within the group as well that you've chased a 150 plus score. So by no means are they out of it, but these last 2.5 overs are going to be really key.
McLean's just pulled up there. He's done something. Looks like his hammy's gone. He's clutching his right leg. He looks in trouble. Could Uni of New South Wales lost their skipper midway through the 18th over? He's hobbling away. I'm not sure he's going to be able to finish this over. 3 deliveries left. Unfortunately, at this level of cricket, no physios or anything to run out and take a look. He's walking back to his mark, Brandon McLean, the skipper. He's stretching out that right hamstring. Nkotra on strike. McLean in. And he's pulled up again, and he looks in trouble, unfortunately. The Uni of New South Wales skipper, he's pulled up limp. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish this over. This would be so heartbreaking for the skipper. For this to happen in the final, be really disappointing. And he's not going to finish the over, and there's a quick break in play while a drink comes out for the batters. And McLean, I think, is going to go off, and he'll be replaced by a sub-fielder. And just a break in play. So 17.3 overs gone. The score 4 for 159. How disappointing for the Bumblebee skipper, Jack.
It's actually Hayden McLean. Brandon McLean is the skipper, but a big blow anyway. A bowler that's taken a lot of wickets for Uni of New South Wales this summer, but also in there has been taking regular wickets in these games. So it's always hard when you lose a bowler. So now I guess the plans have been thrown out for Uni of New South Wales, and Brandon McLean has to try and throw the ball to someone else, at least for these next 3 balls, and that might, I guess, throw out some of the plans and process they have down the track for who was going to bowl the last couple of overs. But
I need someone to finish this over.
Yeah, well, that's right. They need to get 3 balls from somewhere, and that could be a tricky little assignment. But 159 on the board here for Bankstown. I'm sure they're envisaging 190 here to get 31 from these last 2.5 overs. Certainly not outside the realms of possibility. We'll see what happens there, but at least 180, I imagine, would be what they want, and would give them a lot of confidence when they come out to bowl in, say, 30 or 40 minutes time.
2.5 overs to go. They could easily get 30 runs. Be a really tough chase for Uni of New South Wales.
I think wickets are what the Bumblebees need now. If they could get rid of one of these 2 batsmen, if they get rid of a Solway, it brings another fresh batsman to the crease, and things might just slow down, stagnate for 3 or 4 balls. But if this pair stays in, even if it's just for most of these last couple of overs, man, as I say, 190 is going to be close to what they're going to get.
Very good batting conditions that the Bankstown Cricket Club have put on for this final. Very good pitch. The ball looks to be coming onto the bat nicely. That's what you want in these showpiece fixtures.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we've seen some lower score games this season. When Bankstown played here last time, we saw was a bit of a bowler's affair. I don't think there was a 50 in that game, but it is a great spectacle for the fans that have come through when you're seeing lots of 4s and 6s and some really high velocity cricket, and hopefully Uni of New South Wales can keep that going when they get their opportunity with the bat as well.
Here's Bloomfield. He's going to finish Brandon McLean's over, so he's just got 3 deliveries, and that's the first one that's been nudged away for 2.
The running's been very good, hasn't it, for Bankstown? It can probably be glossed over a little bit because we've seen Carruthers and Ahmed's innings where we saw some beautiful 4s and beautiful 6s, but the running for me has been brilliant, beyond brilliant here by Bankstown this afternoon.
Yeah, they've done very well, and in the last few overs they're really taking on the field as Bloomfield being brought back into the attack after he got smashed for 22 in his last over. Carruthers hitting 3 6s and a 4. It's a short ball and it's sort of slapped down to long on for a single by Nkotra. He's on to 7 of just 4 deliveries. The score now 162, 1 ball left.
Solway, I think, has shown the energy and I guess the fitness that he has. Fitness probably isn't something that is spoken about with cricket players, but the fact he's been out here for the whole innings, but he was looking for a 2 there when Nkotra was happy to settle for a 1. I'd say, including the 2s that he's hit and the ones that he's run, it'd be close to probably 10 Ks run in this innings.
Bloomfield, last ball of the 18th over, and it's cut behind point on the offside for 4. That was beautifully timed by Solway, and that brings up his half century. He moves to 50 of 46 deliveries. The skipper playing a captain's knock, and the score now 4 for 166.
That was a sublime shot. He advanced down the track to a quick bowler, and then when Bloomfield saw him coming, dropped it short a little bit, but he still managed to have great reaction time there to Solway, just to step on the back foot and then crack it between the 2 fielders out in the deep, and it raced to the boundary like a tracer bullet. Wonderful innings by Solway. Started slowly, but has really picked up in the last 3 or 4 overs, has held this innings together, and a very well-deserved 50. And you look at the last 2 innings when it's been knockout cricket in the conference final, and now today the grand final, 90 runs next to his name with only 1 dismissal.
White to Nkotra, swings away high and handsomely, and it's in the gap, and it's been pulled in, and they'll just get 2. Good fielding from the man out there. Can't quite see from behind the side screen, but he stuck out a mitt and got the ball back into the field of play. It looked to be going for 4. 4 for 168, just 11 deliveries left in this innings, and Bankstown are going to set Uni of New South Wales an imposing target.
Yeah, Josh Bennett out there. He's the 12th man today, but he's out there obviously because of the injury of Hayden McLean. Didn't think he bowled too badly in the last game, Josh Bennett, so maybe a little bit unlucky not to be playing today.
Wide in again, and it's swung away over long on, onto the hill for 6. 1 bounce, and it's gone out of the ground. Huge shot there by Nkotra, targeting the short boundary. Beautiful shot.
It's just... He's just picked the length and the line up so quickly, and has been able to launch that big foot of his down the track and slap across the line. And the way it's going, man, is 200 isn't safe at the moment. They could certainly get that 26 required off the next 10 deliveries, and there's been some really lusty blows by this pair.
These next 4 balls are dangerous with that short boundary on the leg side. If I was the bowler, I would be keeping that line outside off stump, a good foot or 2 outside off stump.
And this has been really impressive, man, and sorry to interrupt you, of Nkotra coming in. We know how hard it is when we watch the BBL of new batsmen coming to the crease and trying to get settled, trying to get in a groove. Nkotra hit, 3 2s and a single, and then he's hit another 2 and a 6 to be 15 off just 6. It's a really important knock.
Wide in again, a full ball outside off stump, and it's outside edged over point, and Nkotra will get 2. He didn't time that one, just skewed away over the point fielder, but that's a better ball from White. Got to make these Bankstown players hit to the long boundary in these last 3 deliveries.
Yeah, real pinch hitter's knock here from Nkotra, 17 from just 7.
Wide in again. Again, outside off stump, a full ball, and Nkotra's had a huge swing at that. Has not got any wood onto it. Dot ball, a vital dot ball.
Yeah, unfortunately haven't seen too many of those today from the University of New South Wales. Just a little bit wider and a little bit fuller, and maybe a bit of laziness creeping into Dan Nicotra's style there. He just had the feet glued to the crease and threw the bat. He'd love to get another dot ball here with Declan White. He'd love to knock Nicotra over as well.
Here's White. Nicotra moves across to the offside and hits it straight down Longon's throat, and he's caught. Nicotra goes out for 17.
White gets a wicket, a well-deserved wicket. I think he's bowled it well at times. I think, like the majority of this University of New South Wales attack, probably just haven't been consistent enough. But Nicotra late in the innings, going for that big shot, going for that boundary hit, or trying to lift one over the rope, just didn't quite get the one out of the middle, and it wouldn't say it ballooned, but never really had any great velocity on it before it flew its way down to long on. So White picks up his second, the fifth wicket of the afternoon, falling. But Bankstown firmly in control of this clash with 176 on the board, as Solway gets a well-earned drink from the sideline.
Nice little cameo there from Nicotra. And now Benny Taylor. He's bowled so well this summer in the competition. He'll be hoping to take a few wickets this afternoon. And Solway will be on strike for their last delivery of the 19th over. All right, here's White's last ball. Into Solway, who moves to the offside and tries to target the short boundary, and just came off the top of the bat, and they take a single. And that's the end of the over. And with 1 over to go, Bankstown need just 4 runs to equal the highest ever score in a Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup final. And of course, 5 runs to set a new record. The highest score was set by Randwick Petersham. In 2011-12, they made 5 for 181 against Sydney Uni. So Bankstown are within 4 of equaling the highest ever score in this competition in the final. Shows what a sterling effort Bankstown have put on this afternoon.
Yeah, it's been a really good batting display. Top of the order have done the job, and it's been by far and away their best score of the campaign, and has put them in with a great opportunity of lifting up that Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup in a few hours' time.
Solway waits for Bloomfield, who pitches it up, and it's driven into the cover region, and they scamper through for a single. Solway now onto 52 off 48. Hello to everyone watching on the Daily Telegraph website, and you might be sitting at home with a fan or the air conditioning on, having a relaxing afternoon. Well, I can tell you the players in the cooker out there, it's 39 degrees out of Bankstown, and I'm sure in the middle you can probably tack on a couple more degrees.
You speak about the highest score that has been set in the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup, and you just need to look through the few previous finals. 5 of the 6 finals have been decided by the team batting first. They're the ones that taken the chocolates. The exception to that rule was in the 2018-19 season, when we saw Sutherland chase down the total against Sydney University, when they had Steve Smith playing for them in their ranks at the Sydney grounds. So history certainly is on the side of Bankstown here. Not only the fact that they've batted first, but they've got a score well above that 150 mark. So
that's right.
They'd be hoping that they can turn it into 6 out of 7. But really excited to see what the University of New South Wales approach is in the first 5-6 overs.
The fearlessness of youth is what could lift up the Bumblebees.
They've got some big hitters in that top 4 as well, man.
And Corey Richards, their coach, has said that part of their problem this season in the first grade has been their youth. He's Bloomfield. Nice delivery right in the block hole, and Taylor just works it into the deep for a single.
Corey Richards himself was a bit of a dasher for New South Wales.
You know, he said that one of the problems with the age of this side is that they've gone hot and cold in the first grade comp, whereas in the T20 comp it's a lot shorter. It's a more, just they've been more consistent in it. So hopefully they'll bring that this afternoon, that fearlessness of youth. That's what they're going to need to chase it down. Right, Solway waits. What can he do? It's a short ball. Good ball by Bloomfield, and it balloons into long on for a single. It's going to be a run.
Oh, it's hit him.
It was good. The fielder in the deep threw the ball to the keeper. Solway was struggling to make his ground, but the ball hit him, bounced away. Now, just think where it hit him, because it might have hit him on the helmet, which is not good if he has copped it on the head.
It looked like it hit him in the body. Looked like it hit him in the back, like in the upper shoulder region. Maybe the helmet just got dislodged a little bit in the dive here, Manners.
See the ball come in. Yeah, looks to him on the body. You're right, Jack. Solway on strike. 3 balls to go. The score 5 for 181. So they've equalled the highest ever score in their Kingsgrove Sports final. And now they have broken it. Solway with a quick single to backward point. And that now gives Bankstown the record. 5 for 182. Which means also Uni of New South Wales have a record chase on their hands.
Well, I think Bankstown will be hoping they haven't done an Australia where they've set the record for the highest one-day score and held on to it for a couple of hours and it's been broken. But
talking about the 438 v 439 game, are you, Jack? I'm trying to forget that one.
But they've done their due diligence here. It's been a really good batting performance. Running between the wickets, stroke play, temperament, it's all been really good from Bankstown.
2 balls left, and it's a full ball by Bloomfield, and Taylor couldn't get it away, and they just get a single. Score now 5 for 183. Bloomfield's done well in this over. Hasn't allowed them to find the boundary. And with just 1 ball left, Solway will be eyeing off a big finish. A 6 would make the victory target 190. Solway, 55 not out of 50 deliveries. He shepherded his team to this imposing total. Can he just add the cherry on top? Raises the bat. Bloomfield delivers, and it's a good delivery. Cramped him up when he hit it to deep mid-wicket, and they're going to go for 2. The ball's come in, and he's out. Solway is run out off the last delivery, going for a second, and that means the Bankstown Cricket Club finished 5 for 184. Solway run out for 56 of 51 deliveries. Taylor is 2 not out. And Uni of New South Wales will need 185 to win the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup for 2021. A fine effort by Bankstown, led really by Carruthers, who just got off to a flyer.
Yeah, he did. He really took the attack to the University of New South Wales bowling stocks and hit some beautiful sixes. He just shows so much confidence and so much power and timing in his shots. 41 from just 15 with 3 4s and 4 6s. Ezekiel Ahmed continued that with a quick fire 26 off 13. And then that man, Dan Solway, a little bit unfortunate to be run out in the last ball of the innings for 56 off 51. But he held innings together, played some really classical cricket shots and was able to run well between the wickets. So he gets a very warm round of applause as he makes his way to the pavilion. And Bankstown finish with a very good total of 6 for 184. Going to be interesting here to see what the chase is like from the Uni of New South Wales. Probably chasing 20 or 25 more than they would have liked. I think it was around that 160 mark. They would have backed their ability. Looks to be maybe just a touch outside their zone, but like we've been speaking about in commentary, Manners, if some of that top order can get going, the likes of Scoble, Attenborough, Ishenwood, even the captain Brandon McLean, who played a really good innings against Sydney to get them home in the conference semi-finals, if they can get going and they can make a good start in that first 5 or 6 overs, I think they're with a chance of winning. But if they find themselves 2 for 40 or 3 for 40 after 6, it might be good night for the Bumblebees.
I think we're in for an absolutely ripping afternoon. Short boundary on one side, good batting conditions, a young firebrand Uni of New South Wales batting lineup. We are going to take a quick break at Bankstown Oval, go and make yourself a cold drink and come back because Very shortly, in about 10 minutes, we will have Uni of New South Wales attempting to win their first ever Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup and chase down 185 for victory, or can Bankstown defend it and win their first T20 title? We'll take a quick break and then we'll be back at Bankstown Oval in about 10 minutes.
On the leg side. This one short and takes the outside edge. It was a quicker ball and a little bit flatter there from Isherwood, and it's going
down towards the boundary and is just going to evade the attempted rundown of. He'll face his first ball here. Still 2 balls left in this, the first over. Isherwood to Solway is back and almost having his stumps removed there. That one whizzing past the outside edge. Around the wicket this time is Bloomfield and chopping hard and well timed. There, but great piece of fielding by Adrian Isherwood at backward point.
I mentioned the Uni of New South Wales coach. They're all coming together, so hopefully today we see a bit more of that.
Solway in and pushing. And a ball outside the off stump, almost catching the edge. Kind of rocked the head back.
Very well in a game.
This ball is slapped over the top. Beautiful shot. And that will be the second boundary of the afternoon. This one a little bit more convincing than his first. Carruthers got a juicy full toss. Waits here now, pushing forcefully out into the offside. There's a shot at the stumps. It was a great effort. It would have been touch and go. But he managed to get to the... So Isherwood back to over the wicket this time. And this ball is hammered. That could be going all the way. It is. That's a huge hit on the offside. He really got... Has up his sleeve now. And this ball is slapped. That's another glorious strike. That's 6 more onto the hill. That was just picked up with consummate ease by Carruthers, who is playing quite a little innings here. The batsman to come. Bloomfield to Carruthers, who crashed it. That's 6 more. Oh, it's disappeared into the trees and smacked into the fence. So he's playing one not out. 26 have come from 4 and 6s. Bloomfield in and he crunches this one. This will be 4 more. 1 bounce into the fence for 4. This is a masterful display of stroke making and stroke hitting here from Nick Carruthers. 35 from just 13. Bloomfield in. This is more runs. Is this going all the way? No. 1 bounce over the fence for 4. And this is a remarkable... Bloomfield to Carruthers. He's back and swinging across the line. And he's been given out. Caught behind. So the flurry of 6s and 4s comes.
They're hurting at the moment.
White in this one. This is going a long way. That's disappearing into the skyland. And really, a few fans out of there had to take. Ahmed 10 not out off 3. What does White have this time? And the ball hits him on the pads. There's a big appeal. Umpire unmoved, says not out. That was a better delivery. Just seemed to pull the length back a little bit there. Menace got a bit of extra height. Sco ball to Ahmed, and Ahmed crunches one out through mid-wicket. That's going to go down to the boundary for 4. Smacked that hard. It was more power than timing, but it raced along the carpet. And despite Thalabala Singham doing his best there to try and haul that one in, it wasn't to be. McLean in, and this one chopped backward a point, and that man at third man will run around and pick it up, and he has to get on his bike here. To Solway, he dives and just gets home in the end. The throw just a little bit wayward.
Run rate.
McLean in, that's wide, it's punished, it's a beautiful shot. Isherwood, he's not going to get there. Could have been Usain Bolt and he wasn't going to get there. That is one of the shots.
Certainly just looking to bowl fairly straight here, because if he puts it outside that off stump with that short boundary, he has got a little bit of protection, but there's plenty of room out there for him taking to the boundary.
And this will be stumped. Ahmed's gone. And Southergan, Thalabala Singham
gets a bit of width.
This one's thrown up plenty of air. This one's slapped in the air. He hasn't got onto it. And an excellent catch. One of the catches of the tournament, really. Oh, I thought there was no way that man coming in from the deep would have been able to take that.
Does all of that, and what fantastic supporters of cricket they are in this state. Just hit over the man at mid-off there, Cormac, lofting it, and that's gone away for 4. Just enough elevation to get over the fielder there, and that's Ballacing him in again to Cormac, and he's using his feet and lofting high and handsomely, and that's 6 over Longoff's head and onto the hill, and Cormac hits his first 6 of his innings today.
Okay.
Isherwood in again, bowling around the wicket, and Solway's taken 2 steps down the wicket and lofted him high and handsomely over long on onto the hill for 6. Score now 3 for a first ball this over. Will he try and repeat the dose? And he's been invited to by Isherwood, who threw it up, and Solway accepted the invitation gladly and hit it straight over. Wide in again. Cormac's hitting that high in there. It's gone very high. The man at long off's coming around. He's right in front of me, and he's taken the catch. Excellent catch there by Scoble, I think that was. Right in front of the commentary box here at deep.
Not one up, I'd say.
Wide into Solway, who's just turning that ball nicely behind square on the onside, and they take 2. Good fielding by the man on the boundary there. I think that's Thanabalasingham. Wide in again. Solway waits, and it's wrapped him on the pads, and the bowler's field, and he's had a shy at the stumps and almost ran out Solway, who was Hotra on strike. McLean in. Oh, and he's pulled up again, and he looks in trouble, unfortunately. The Uni of New South Wales skipper, he's 3 6s and a 4. It's a short ball, and it's sort of slapped down to long on for a single by Nikotra. He's on
10 Ks run in this innings.
Bloomfield, last ball of the 18th over, and it's cut behind point on the offside for 4. That was beautifully timed by Solway, and that brings up his half century. He moves to 50 of 46 deliveries. The skipper playing a captain of 46 deliveries. The skipper playing a captain's knock. And the score now 4 for 166.
That was a sublime shot. He advanced down the track to a quick bowler, and then when Bloomfield saw him coming, dropped it short a little bit, but he still managed to have great reaction time there to Solway, just to step on the back foot and then crack it between the 2 fielders. 90 runs next to his name with only 1 dismissal.
White to Nikotra, swings away high and handsomely, and it's in the gap, and it's been pulled in, and they'll just get 2. Good fielding from the man out there. Can't quite see from behind.
A bit unlucky not to be playing today.
Wide in again, and it's swung away over long on onto the hill for 6. 1 bounce, and it's gone out of the ground. Huge shot there by Nikotra. Here's White. Nikotra moves across to the offside and hits it straight down long on's throat, and he's caught. Nikotra goes out for 17.
White gets
it down. Right, Solway waits. What can he do? It's a short ball. Good ball by Bloomfield, and it balloons into long on for a single. It's going to be a run.
Oh, it's in him.
Oh, it was good. The fielder in the deep threw the ball to the keep field, delivers, and it's a good delivery. Cramped him up, and he hit it to deep mid-wicket, and they're going to go for 2. The ball's come in, and he's out. Solway is run out off the last delivery, going for a second, and that means the Bankstown Cricket Club finished 5 for 184. Solway run out for 56 of 51 deliveries. Taylor is 2 not out. And there's a very long boundary on the leg side.
This one short and takes the outside edge. It was a quicker ball and a little bit flatter there from Isherwood. And it's going down towards the boundary and is just going to evade the attempted rundown of... And he'll face his first ball here. Still 2 balls left in this, the first over. Isherwood to Solway is back and almost having his stumps removed there. That one whizzing past the outside edge. Around the wicket this time is Bloomfield, and chopping hard and well timed there. But great piece of fielding by Adrian Isherwood at backward point.
I mentioned the Uni of New South Wales coach, they're all coming together. So hopefully today we see a bit more of that.
Solway in and pushing. And a ball outside the off stump, almost catching the edge. Kind of rocked the head back.
Very well in a game.
This ball is slapped over the top. Beautiful shot. And that will be the second boundary of the afternoon. This one a little bit more convincing than his first. Carruthers got a juicy full toss. Waits here now, pushing forcefully out into the offside. There's a shot at the stumps. It was a great effort. It would have been touch and go. But he managed to get to the... So Isherwood back to over the wicket this time. And this ball is hammered. That could be going all the way. It is. That's a huge hit on the offside. He really got... Has up his sleeve now. And this ball is slapped. That's another glorious strike. That's 6 more onto the hill. That was just picked up with consummate ease by Carruthers, who is playing quite a little innings here. The batsman to come. Bloomfield to Carruthers, who crashed it. That's 6 more. Oh, it's disappeared into the trees and smacked into the fence. So he's playing one not out. 26 have come from 4 and 6s. Bloomfield in, and he crunches this one. This will be 4 more. 1 bounce into the fence for 4. This is a masterful display of stroke making and stroke hitting here from Nick Carruthers. 35 from just 13. Bloomfield in. This is more runs. Is this going all the way? No. 1 bounce over the fence for 4. And this is a remarkable... Bloomfield to Carruthers. He's back and swing across the line. And he's been given out. Caught behind. So the flurry of 6s and 4s Sports T20 Cup final, and the match is delicately poised at the halfway mark, with Bankstown batting first, having been sent in by the University of New South Wales. 6 for 184 from their allotted 20 overs, with some really good contributions from the top of the order. Dan Solway, the captain, made 56 from 51. And there was some other solid contributors in that top order as well. So they'll be looking to try and get some early wickets, as I'm joined by Andrew Menseland. Quite a steep task ahead of this young University of New South Wales side. I'm really intrigued to seeing how they approach this power play in the first 6 overs, Manners.
Yeah, good afternoon, viewers, and hello, Jack. Well, what a performance we saw before the break by Bankstown, but now it's, as you say, Uni of New South Wales chance in the power play to try and get off to a fast start. So they're opening the bowling from the Hall of Fame end, and they're just trying to get the side screen right. And we've got Ben Taylor, I think. No, it's going to be Ben Labasse opening the bowling.
This season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been really good. Took wickets in the preliminary final. He and Ben Taylor, the spin twins for Bankstown. So in this first over, Uni of New South Wales do have the short boundary on their leg side. And we've got Scoble on strike and Jack Attenborough out in the middle with him. And I think they're going to have to pretty much get after the attack straight away.
I agree. Yeah, I think they're going to need to go from ball 1 here.
Labasse with the first ball of the innings, and it's a short ball. There's a big appeal. Not out. Scoble was frozen on the crease and could have been run out at the non-striker's end if he didn't get him moving.
That would have been the worst possible start.
That's right.
Lost Scoble, one of their strong batsmen at the top of the order, first ball. But he showed some aggressive intent.
It brings Jack Attenborough onto strike, who's the leading run scorer in this competition. Labasse. Second ball, then it's cut beautifully through point by Attenborough. Timed excellently, and it's crashed into the boundary for 4.
That's an exquisite shot. The first ball that you face in an innings, he was quickly into position, and he crunched that pass backward point for a boundary there. And nice little start in these first 2 deliveries here for the Uni of New South Wales. Attenborough picking up where he left off last game against Gordon.
The 19-year-old Tyro from Sydney's East. Oh, he's beaten Labasse with an absolute jaffa. The left-arm spinner's got that to grip and turn. You spoke about Labasse. He did so well in the preliminary final against Parramatta. Took 4 for 21. Here he is again, throws it up, and Attenborough defends. He took 4 for 21, and his offside of Ben Taylor took 3 for 18. Between them, they restricted Parramatta to just 131. He's in action again from the Hall of Fame end. Good delivery, good bite off the surface there, and Attenborough Just defends it into the offside. No run. The score, none for 5. Labasse in. It's a shorter ball. And just pushed back to the bowler. And that's a good start from Labasse and Bankstown. 5 runs coming off the opening over. A loud appeal against Scoble. And good start from the doggies.
Yeah, he brought it back well after that boundary which got struck away by Attenborough, and that's what he needs to do. Any overs that they can have with less than 9 being scored are absolute gold for this Bankstown side. And they know what's ahead of them. That they know the plans that they need to bowl to and the strategy that they'll have in place and plans for these different batsmen. So, yeah, scoreboard pressure is a real thing. It's even realer when you've scored 184. So, yeah, they'll be fancying themselves here, and Ben Labasse again proving why he's been such a vital cog for this Bankstown Bulldog side in this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup campaign this summer.
Liam Marshall to take up the attack from the high school end. Scoble on strike. Scored none for 5 after 1 over. Here's Marshall. Delivers, and it's nudged nicely through mid-wicket by Scoble. They'll take 1. They thought about 2, but good fielding there from the sweeper. Keeps Attenborough on strike. Scoble's off the mark. Scored none for 6.
Yeah, nicely played there by Scoble. He would have had a bit of a scare that first ball that he faced, but he's got one off the willow now, and good piece of fielding out in the deep, though. Bankstown would have known how many 2s they were able to pick up off the outfielders of the Bumblebees. They will make sure that they do not let that happen while they're on the field. Good piece of fielding, cut a 2 down to a 1.
Marshall delivers to Attenborough, who slashes that one over the offside, and it's going to bounce over the fence for 4. Lovely shot from Attenborough. A bit of width by Marshall, and Jack Attenborough threw the hands at it.
Yeah, you're spot on there, Menez. Just too much width, short and wide, and when you've got the field up like that, you've got no one out in the deep protecting that area, although they've put a man out there now.
Which makes sense to me. I'm not sure why you wouldn't have a sweeper protecting the short boundary.
Out there now, but very good shot by Attenborough. He's played two nice boundary strokes now.
Waits again for Marshall. Good ball, and it's pushed into that gap for a single. Attenborough moves to 9. So a very important partnership here. Jack Attenborough is the leading run scorer in this competition. He now has 284 runs in the comp. And Scoble is the 6th leading run scorer, and he has 197 runs in the comp. So these two have performed well in this competition for the Bumblebees this season, and they're looking to continue it in the final. Marshall, good delivery, and it was misfielded by the man at short fine leg, and didn't cost them a run. Scoble gets 1.
Yeah, Thomas Scoble, one of the many Australians impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. He was planning to go and spend some time over in the UK, play some club cricket. That didn't eventuate during Australia's most recent winter of 2020. But he certainly has got both feet grounded in the City Grey Comp, having a good T20 campaign.
Marshall to Attenborough, who's advancing, and they're just sort of turning it away on the onside for 2. Just dropped it in the gap between short fine leg and deep square leg, and easy double for the youngster. Yeah,
they're working the gaps nicely. The University of New South Wales. There's been a couple of nice strokes to the boundary, but I think they've played each ball on its merit and haven't tried to hit every ball to the boundary, which is obviously what you can't do, but they're running between the wickets and just nudging balls into the gaps have worked well for them so far.
Marshall, a full ball, and Attenborough's driven that beautifully over the offside, just waiting for the umpire to signal whether that's gone for 4 or 6, but a delightful lofted off drive by Attenborough.
I think it was 6. Looks like it cleared the fence.
Just skipped a couple of paces down the wicket and hit through the line. And yes, the umpire has signalled 6. So the McDonald's Premier Cricket umpire has put the arms up, and that's Attenborough's first 6 of the day.
Yeah, Troy Penman, the umpire down there at the school end, just wanted to make sure that he didn't make a mistake, just got the clarification from the player jogging back. But yeah, Mena's mentioned, brilliant little stroke there. Just used his feet nicely, just lifted the ball up over the infield, and it just kept sailing. It was a glorious stroke. And
nothing like smashing one of your old teammates. So Jack Attenborough's played a lot of New South Wales under-19 cricket with the bowler Liam Marshall. He's also played with Brad Simpson and Ezekiel Ahmed, who are in this Bankstown side. And actually, Attenborough said that he's looking forward to catching up with his mates for a drink after the game, regardless of the result. Good to see that kind of sportsmanship and attitude. And now there's been a change in the bowling.
Ben Taylor, I think, is coming into the attack.
Yeah, Benny Taylor, another left-arm spinner, threw it up, and Scoble was tempted but couldn't connect with it.
This is the perfect start here by New South Wales. They haven't got themselves behind the 8-ball by either losing a wicket or maybe only being 7 or 8 after 2 overs. With a minimal risk, they've got to 20 and are making good use of the power play thus far.
Taylor in again, shorter ball, and it's pulled into the onside. And the man's, good fielding by the man at long on. He's got it just off the rope and kept it to 2. You speak about players being affected by COVID. Well, Benny Taylor, he's from Canberra, and since the border's been closed, he's actually had to stay basically, just work just outside the ACT border. He hasn't been able to go. Oh, that's thrown up. It's hit high in the air, and that is 6. It's a huge shot by Scoble. That's onto the roof, I think, of the Bankstown. Well, I can't even see the building from where we are, but that's
it made a thud.
A massive 6.
Yeah, it was a funny kind of shot, wasn't it? Because it looked like it was one of those shots where the ball was just going straight up. And I think it probably did go straight up,
but just kept going. That was the problem, Jack.
I think,
We'll see on the replay here. A bit of air, and that's a sweet connection by Scoble. But yeah, Ben Taylor just hasn't been able to go home since Bankstown was designated as a hot spot. So, he's making quite a big sacrifice to keep playing for Bankstown. And he told the story of why he ended up at Bankstown. And it was because, surprisingly, they needed a spinner. So there's a bit of a break in play here. Scoble has just hit the ball, I think, out of Bankstown's postcode into the next suburb.
We should be setting Chris McPherson to go and fetch that, I think. He's not doing anything. He's just sitting around. I'm sure there's plenty more qualified people to go and...
I think they've got a new ball now. I'll tell you what, there'll be a few kids, I reckon, looking around for that ball. I used to, when I was a kid, hang around the nets at the SCG and wait for the New South Wales or Aussie team to hit them out of the ground and just grab the old cherries.
That would have been around the Bradman Morris.
Yeah, turn of the century. Well, there was no TV or anything back then, so... All right, so they've got a replacement ball. Scoble waits. Now Taylor, he's just bowled so well this competition. Here he is again, and he's wrapped him on the pads. Huge appeal. Oh, he almost bounced back with the wicket, but I think it was sliding down leg side. Well, that's what the umpire thought. But Ben Taylor is the second leading wicket taker in this competition with 13 wickets. Here he is again. Taylor to Scoble. It's thrown up again, and Scoble's driven that hard to long off, and he's been caught low to the ground by the skipper Solway. He's taken a ripper just off the grass, and Scoble goes, and the first wicket goes down at 28.
Yeah, he wasn't happy about it, Scoble. I think he pointed as if to motion the ball had hit the ground. We've got a pretty good vantage point here, men, as it did look like the Bankstown fielder did get to the ball before it touched the grass. But interesting to see a replay on this one. That's a big blow for the Bumblebees. He was looking really good, Scoble, but he just hit it too uppishly. I think the ball was there to be hit, but he had to go over the top or try and hit it along the ground. So a disappointing moment for him to be dismissed, and a great moment here for Bankstown, who managed to break this opening partnership and get the noses back in it.
Well, that's Taylor's 14th wicket of the competition. And, I think Solway took that catch fairly. I think Scoble would have been disappointed with the shot, disappointed that he couldn't go on with it in a final. But it seemed a fair catch to me. Solway just scooping it off the grass.
Yeah, I think he could have just pulled it back a little bit there, Thomas Scoble. He did a really marvellous 6, and I know you're trying to get 9 runs and over, but yeah, I just feel it would have been better for him and the team just to pull it back a little bit, just maybe try and knock a single, get to the non-strikers. And how often do we see a wicket when there's a break in play, whether it's a drinks break or an interval, or like we've just seen there with the ball being lost and 2 or 3 minutes being spent recovering it, and it's paid dividends there for Bankstown. In comes Adrian Isherwood. He big talking number 3. He certainly had a bit to say to some of the Gordon fans in his knocker 62 in the Sixers conference final. He'll be looking to make his bat do the talking here. Very, very important partnership, this one.
All right, Taylor just took the vital wicket of Scoble. Isherwood waits. He drives nicely into the offside, didn't find the gap. That's the end of Taylor's first over, a successful over. 1 wicket and 8 runs coming from it. After 3 overs, the Uni of New South Wales need 157 runs off 17 overs.
Yeah, well, they're staying just above that 9 runs per over, so they're hitting the head above water at the moment, the visitors. Wickets are the key, though. We saw Bankstown do a really good job of preserving their wickets, and even with Solway being run up the last ball of the innings, they were still only 6 down. Uni can't afford to be 3 or 4 down at the end of this power play, or even 3 or 4 down before the 10 over mark, because it's just putting too much unwanted pressure on that middle to lower order for the Bumblebees. So this partnership for me, this is a really important one. I think both these batsmen really need to get going and need to form a partnership of 50 plus to keep Uni in this game.
Attenborough, the vital wicket on strike now. Here's Aaron Bird, first ball of the day, former New South Wales player, Bankstown veteran. Gets away with a dot to start.
Well, Aaron Bird's been around so long, man, that he was actually part of the New South Wales squad that played in the first ever domestic T20 competition back in the day when it was played between the states, wasn't played between the BBL franchises like it is these days.
Here he is, it's short ball, and Attenborough's tried to swing that away, but it's got under the bat. Yep, when he made his debut for Bankstown, he was playing with the War Brothers.
Yeah, he's been a superb performer in the Sydney grade cricket scene for a long time. 37 years of age now, but just playing the T20s for the Bankstown Cricket Club and doing a great job. 10 wickets at an average of 8.2. That economy rate is 4.5 and over. Remarkable in this format of the game.
Bird in again, and it's just tucked Attenborough up on the leg side, and we'll just wait if you got a tickle on that. Leg by signalled. It's got 1 for 29.
And I think that is the issue when you're playing Bankstown, is that they've obviously got some great performers with bat and ball, but you look at the 2 bowlers that are bowling at the moment, Aaron Bird and Ben Taylor, have both taken double-figure wickets, 13 for Taylor, or 14 now for Taylor, 10 for Bird. Their economy rates are both 4.5. That in itself is you're conceding basically 40 runs off their 8 overs in a game.
Bird to Isherwood, who's just squirting that into the point region, no run. Yeah, it's a fearsome bowling attack.
It just strangles the life out of teams. If you add 40 to Uni's total from here and add on 8 overs, they've effectively scored 70 from 9 overs. And if that was the case, there'd be very little chance of them chasing down the 184. So they're the 2 keys that Daniel Solway can go to with a lot of faith. 2 veterans that are really handy with the ball.
Bird in again. It's a good ball. He's bowling with good pace, Bird, and Isherwood just under-edged it to the keeper. No run. Isherwood made 62 off 42 deliveries in the preliminary final against Gordon and looked in great touch in that innings. He'll need a bit of that form today.
He will.
Short ball goes through to the keeper. It's good bowling by Bird, sensible bowling, and that's the end of a very, very good start from Aaron Bird. Just 1 run conceded. So after 4 overs, Uni of New South Wales 1 for 29, and that's smart bowling. dig the ball in, make them hit to the long boundary. I don't think we saw enough of that from Uni of New South Wales.
Yeah, I think they bowled too much in that slot, that swinging arc, just out the front of a batsman where they can swing through the line and really connect. But Bird obviously bowling to his field, but bowling to his frame as well. He's a big, tall lad and bangs it in short and gets the bounce. And there's just that scorecard of the Bankstown innings. As you can see, lots of runs in the top half of the order. Nick Carruthers leading the way with 41 from 15. Dan Solway's half century laid the platform for them.
Taylor in. Who knows? Labasse being brought back into the attack. Dot ball to start his second spell. Labasse in again, and it's driven into the offside by Attenborough. No run.
You just feel the momentum shifted a bit here, Menas, don't you? That last over only going for a run, a couple of dot balls here from Labasse. The batsmen just struggling with their timing and their placement. It's Bankstown, they're starting to get their hands around the throat a little bit here in this clash.
Labasse, a quicker ball, and it's lofted over mid-off by Attenborough. It's bouncing away. They've got two. They're going to think about a third, but the fielder's got it, and they've kept it to two. Good fielding. There was three Bankstown players converging on the ball. And Attenborough moves along to 19 off 15. Isherwood's yet to get off the mark.
Yeah, and they're the shots you can play when you've got the field up like that. There's minimal risk as long as you get enough batter on it to lift it over the infield. Not out of the middle there by Attenborough, but got enough on it to get a couple next to his name.
Labasse to Attenborough, who's swung across the line. The ball's got high. There's a fielder getting under it, and he's taken the catch. A vital wicket. Attenborough's gone. The leading run scorer in the competition's been caught for 19. Labasse gets his first wicket of the day. And who was that took the catch? Aaron Bird. He's the leading catcher in this competition. That's his 8th catch of the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. And Uni of New South Wales, 2 for 31. Well, a vital wicket, Jack Clifton. A vital, vital wicket.
Yeah, they needed that. He was a dangerous man, but Attenborough just going for that shot across the line and just hit high on the bat, ballooned in the air. Very difficult catch to take, though. Aaron Bird was under it for a long time, and if you see the replay, just stumbled back a little bit the last moment because the ball was coming almost behind his head. But his 4th catch in his last 2 games. He took 3 last game, and he's taken another one here. And that is not what the University of New South Wales wanted. They're in big trouble now. It's going to be up to some of these guys in the middle order to try and fight them out of this hole they're in with a score at 2 for 31.
Jack Clifton is stepping out of the commentary box now. Chris McPherson will be joining me in a moment. And he's joining me at a vital stage in this Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup final. Hope you're enjoying this match across the Daily Telegraph network. Fantastic that they're covering this game and this competition. Isherwood on strike. Labasse bowling over the wicket to the left-hander, and Isherwood squirted that one away off the outside edge towards the 3rd man boundary. And well fielded, they get 2. Chris, couple of big wickets for Bankstown.
Afternoon, Menas. Afternoon, viewers on the Daily Telegraph network. It certainly has been a couple of really key wickets. They've put the clamps on and slowed things down, and the Bumblebees are in a little bit of trouble here as the Bulldogs are starting to really get one hand on that cup.
Oh, beating the bat there. Isherwood tried to slap that one away, and a dot ball. So after 5 overs, Uni of New South Wales are a 2 for 33. They're 2 for 33, and they need 152 from 91 balls. So a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of Adrian Isherwood.
To give a bit of perspective, and we know that Bankstown, they went very hard in their power play. After 5 overs, they were 1 for 64, so almost 30 runs of difference. So a lot of work to do, and certainly they can't afford too many more single-digit overs in the next few, and they need to capitalise on this final over the power play, Menace.
Yeah, you're right. Last over, and you're looking to get some runs. So the skipper Hayden McLean on strike.
Almost a catch there, a half chance, and then a fumble. I think to go back for 2. The skipper would have been in a bit of trouble.
So Brandon McLean off the mark. His brother Hayden picked up the injury. I'm not sure if he'll be able to bat. Probably batted 11 with a runner if needed.
He might be required just to clear the fence by that point, Manners, if he's batting that far down, I think.
Isherwood on strike to Marshall. Steams in from the high square. It's a short ball and it's slapped to mid-off and, just landed short of Aaron Bird, and he tried to get it on the half volley but couldn't, and it's run away for 4. That's Isherwood's first boundary. He moves along to 6 of 7 deliveries. The score 2 for 38.
Looked like he might have been in 2 minds as to whether to attack that and try and take the catch versus risking the boundary, and ended up getting caught in no man's land. Bounced under him and away it went, and he got the worst of all results. Bird, which is, as you touched on in that last over, he's been one of the fielders for Bankstown so far this year that's been secure with the hands.
Isherwood waits for Marshall. It's just chopped into the offside. No run. It's got a bit overcast here at Bankstown Oval. Sun's just hiding behind a few clouds, which is to be a little bit of a respite for the Bankstown field, as it's dropped from a hot 39 to a mild 38 degrees out here now. Marshall in again. Isherwood waits. Slaps across the line at that one, over the mid-wicket's fielder's head, and they just get one. The sweeper was able to stop that one from going for 4. The score now 2 for 39.
Isherwood showing a little bit more intent there. Didn't quite get hold of it as much as he would have liked. Hit a little bit lower on the bat. And it's picked up by the sweeper. Interesting to see what the skipper can do now.
Marshall in, and it's tucking him up, and he just nurdles it to fire. Oh, and that's out. That is a direct hit, and that is out. Isherwood has been run out with a direct hit from short fine leg. Hayden McLean nudged it round the corner. Brandon McLean, they looked to take a quick single, and absolutely superb fielding from Dan Nicotra, who picked up the ball, threw down the stumps. Adrian Isherwood run out for 6. A vital, vital wicket.
Some poor running there. I think his bat might have actually been in the air over the crease when the direct hit came through. So just, that's one of the first things you're taught when you're coming through the ranks, Menners, is, slide that bat in. But it looked like, from our vantage point, certainly in the air, he might have made his ground almost had he had the bat on the ground. So it was very casual. The fielder took a moment to gather himself before throwing down the stumps, but a beautiful direct hit.
So Isherwood's out for 7. Score now 3 for 39 after 5.5 overs. A stunning start for Bankstown. And a very, very bad start for Uni of New South Wales, trying to chase down this big total. And now they need 146 from 85 balls, with Burns and Brandon McLean at the crease.
Yeah, a lot of work to be done here. These two will certainly need a fairly substantial partnership, you would think, if they're to have any chance of chasing down what is now a very imposing total.
Great fielding from Dan Nicotra there. Had to hit the stumps to get the wicket. Did hit the stumps, and boy, he got out the in-form Adrian Isherwood. He's Burns. First ball's a wide down leg side, and the umpire signalled wide. Score now 3 for 40. 1 ball left in the power play.
Yeah, as much as the 3 wickets are going to be costly, it's not completely out of the realms that they can bring it back from here. Still requiring just around the 10 and over, which is still palatable considering they did post the record earlier in the year. North of 260, I think, was the figure in the end that they put up against Eastern Suburbs. So they've got plenty of batting in their lineup.
265, which is the highest ever score in this comp. That ball just down leg side just came off Burns' thigh pad. But no run, and that's the end of 6 overs here at Bankstown Oval. The score 3 for 39. Uni of New South Wales still need 145 off 84 balls.
What's the conversation there mid-pitch, do you think, Manners, between these two at the moment? Just it's going to be about righting that ship, you'd have to think, but the problem is they don't really have any time to settle in and build the partnership. They've got to be going from the start here of this partnership.
Yeah, I think they need to try and nudge the ball around and target the short boundary on the leg side. I've said it all day. I'll keep saying it. That's what they have to do. So right now the bowler's going to be bowling from the Hall of Fame end, which means the boundary's on the leg side there for the right-handed batters.
Protection.
And that's where the boundary options are. So Brown's being brought into the attack.
Protection options back at a fine leg, a deep square leg, and then a man at long on. So there's still quite some gaps out on that field, and you'd think they'd have to target that cow corner region. We certainly saw that was fairly productive for Bankstown.
Brown in. First ball down the leg side of wide. There's a big appeal. They were trying to maybe fox the umpire there. Did not work. And one more to the total. The score 3 for 41 after 6 overs.
I'll be happy for the extras to continue piling up the Bumblebees. Any assistance they can get. Running down what is now 145 runs required with 14 overs to come.
McLean waits. Brown delivers. It's hit him on the pad, I think. We'll just wait for the umpire signal. They've got one. And I think that's going to be leg buys. So the score now 3 for 42. Brown bustling in. He's a little stocky, medium pace bowler. Skiddy bowler. Might be tough to hit in these conditions. Burn on strike. Bowled him! Brown's gone straight through Burns. He's out for a duck. And Uni of New South Wales are 4 for 42 here. Brown with it. Absolute Jaffa in his first over, and Burns has played all around that one, and his middle and leg stump have been sent out of the ground.
I thought I might have just decked back a little bit. It was a really good delivery, as you said, minutes from Brown. Burns
bustles in, cuts in, and just destroyed leg and middle stump. Burns out for a duck in the final. Score 4 for 42.
They're in a whole world of trouble now, the Bumblebees. Starting to get down into those middle order batsmen. And there's going to be a huge effort required here as looks like it might be the swashbuckling Hassan coming in, is it?
Well, Bankstown are marching towards their first ever Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup final title. They are storming home. They batted well, and now a sensational effort in the field. A terrific run out last over, and then, or 2 overs ago, a terrific run out, and then that delivery from Brown completely cut Burns in half. This is great stuff by the doggies.
Yeah, their bowling and fielding's what's got them to this point. They've been really strong with the ball and in the field so far.
There's a big home crowd out here at Bankstown Oval. They're all spread across the hill and the different vantage points, and that's a wide delivery from Brown. Hussain gets a bit of a sighter. And boy, the home crowd have been treated to a stunning performance. 4s and 6s when Bankstown were batting, and now they're doing it in the field.
Hassan doesn't mind to clear the front leg here, Manners, so if they are to have any hope, he might need to put in a fair cameo here. So hopefully we can see a few fireworks to get the Bumblebees back into this one.
Brown bustles in again. It's a short ball and it's skewed off Hassan's outside edge to third man for a single. And he's off the mark. McLean's on 1, Hassan's on 1. And the required run rate is almost at 11 runs per over. It's an uphill battle for the Bumblebees. Can they pull off something special? It'll take one player, won't it, Chris, to do something phenomenal from here.
We need to see a swashbuckling half-century at least from one of these guys to steer them home, maybe even something bigger.
We thought it'd be Attenborough, we thought it'd be Isherwood, but they're both gone. That's a dot ball to the skipper, McLean.
Yes, they were certainly the suspects. They've been key. Firstly, obviously Attenborough and Scoble are both right up there amongst the run scorers, and they looked in good touch early. But the constant wickets through this innings have been the arch nemesis of their scoring.
Well, that's beaten the bat, Brown. Good carry and bounce and lift there from the medium pacer. Scoble would be disappointed with the way he got out. He was batting well, and then he just hit the ball straight to mid-off. He didn't hit it high to get over the top, didn't hit along the ground. It was a bit of a nothing sort of shot, wasn't it?
Very much in between sort of shot, didn't follow through on it, and picked out Dan Solway there at mid-off.
Brown in again, a full ball. It's pushed to mid-on for a single by McLean. And, well, the end of a very successful over for Bankstown. Burns, bowl for a duck. After 7 overs here, the score 4 for 44. Yes, 4 for 44. You heard it correctly across the Daily Telegraph network. And the Bumblebees need 141 more runs for what would be from here almost a miraculous victory.
He'd be on par with some of the more stunning returns we've seen. You have to think Bankstown to be very solid favourites. Certainly one hand on that cup at this point, and it's going to take a miracle. Might be an understatement almost from either Hassan, or is the door open for a captain's knock manners from Brandon McLean? If there's a time for a captain to stand up, and he's got some experience, having been over at Randwick Petersham, and they're well known for their success in this competition. Maybe that experience translates here to a big knock, although he's taken quite some time getting going. Just 1 or 6 deliveries so far. That's
okay, you can catch up. But, all right, Dan Nicotra being brought into the attack. Affected a brilliant run out earlier in this innings. The leggy. And his first ball is cut into the offside for a single by Hassan. Spin-heavy attack by Bankstown. Nicotra, Taylor, Labasse, the trio of spinners. And we've seen in T20 cricket that spin bowling can be mightily effective. Just pulled down on that one, and McLean slaps it into the offside for a single.
Interesting to see Solway certainly mixing up his bowlers. We're now into the 8th over, and only 2 bowlers have been used for return over, so 6 different bowler we've seen.
Yeah, it's becoming a more fashionable technique in tactic in T20 cricket. San drives into the offside for a single. You try not to allow batters to settle against a particular bowler. So I think one of the stats is in franchise cricket, the 3rd over from a bowler can often go for a lot, a 3rd on the trot. So 1 or 2 overs for a spell is seen as sort of the best in T20 cricket now.
We certainly saw that in the first innings here. They bowled back-to-back overs from both their openers, Isherwood and Bloomfield, and both of them went well in double digits. Isherwood 13 off his second over, and Bloomfield 22 off his second, and that's where those Bankstown batters started really firing and bombing the boundaries.
Nicotra Hassan, who just uses his feet and lofts over the offside, and it's great fielding for the man on the deep cover boundary there. He slid across and saved it from going for 4 and just kept it to 2. Well, that's the sort of fielding that wins you finals, Chris.
It certainly is. Probably not quite as executed as he wanted, but saved 2 runs. He had 2 fielders coming towards him, and he pushed it through the gap between them, but didn't cost any extras. So great effort to save 2 runs, and it's those little bits that add up.
Nicotra in again, and defended back to him by Hassan, and the end of Nicotra's first over. The score at Bankstown Oval is 4 for 50. McLean is 3 off 8. Hassan 5 off 4. Nicotra conceded 6 off his first over, and he's bowling from the high school end, and there's a very deep boundary on the leg side for a right-hander. It's the right spot to bowl your leggy from.
It's a good area to be able to defend with that large boundary out there. And
so now we're seeing McLean will be on strike, and he's got the short boundary on his leg side. So this is the end you've got to target. This is the end the Bumblebees need to target. Brown, the ball's coming onto the bat. You're going to chase this down, you've got to back yourself. And he's swung across the line.
A bit of a fumble there from Bird in the outfield.
And they get 2.
Good support there, though, from Labast.
I think McLean's heard me because he's targeting that short boundary off that first ball. And
to sign you up as an assistant coach out there, man, as all these tactical nous.
Oh, actually, one of the things that surprises me about T20 cricket, and I'll continue after this delivery. Oh, that's slapped through the offside for one by McLean. Yeah, having interviewed a lot of T20 cricketers playing the Big Bash and franchises, it surprised me how often they talk about things like the dimensions of the ground and bowling to the dimensions and, bowling the short ball to try and bring in the square boundaries. A lot more than I thought before I spoke to them. That's a ball slashed away for a single by Hassan. Yeah, it surprised me how different their tactics can be depending on which end they're bowling from or which ground they're playing on.
It's certainly a key in T20 because especially some of these grounds are getting multiple games over a short period. As you can see here, the difference of a boundary between playing on the far right and the far left pitch can be massive. Not just that,
the players are so good now that if you say that if there's just one short boundary option, they will find it.
Yeah.
They will target it and they will find it. Oh, it's a good ball. That's a great ball from Brown. He almost got through McLean's defence and knocked him over, but it squirted away off the inside edge and down to the boundary for 4 and the very fine leg region. Yeah, your batters are getting so good now that if there is one short boundary or one gap, they will be able to capitalise on it if you don't bowl well.
100% right. You'll even see them target if there's a little bit of a gap with a fielder who might not be as mobile. They're really switched on to that sort of stuff as well. So you've got to be right on with your bowling plan.
Brown bustles it again and McLean defends.
We've seen your bowling plans. We've seen Mitch Brown really tidy up onto bowling a little bit outside, probably a 4th or 5th stump line on the offside here with that large boundary there. The last over from this end, he drifted a couple down the leg side and they just went for wides rather than the batsman getting hold of them.
That's right. Here's Brown again. Slashed through cover, and the man is diving and pulls it back, and he's kept it to 2. Oh, it's just an electric bit of fielding there on the offside. He had no right to stop that one, did Nakotra. His second bit of great fielding this afternoon, saved 2 runs, and Uni of New South Wales just can't find the boundary because the Bankstown fielders won't let them, and the score's 4 for 60 after 9, and the Uni of New South Wales did 125 off another 66 balls. Wow.
Almost up to 2 runs a ball or 12 runs and over, which is where you start to really find yourself in trouble even late in the game, Manners. So they're going to need to find probably a big over in the next sort of 3 or 4 or a couple of big overs, depending how far they can go. So it'll be interesting to see whether they can capitalise on the short boundary here. We've seen Hassan try to go aerial a couple of times.
Taylor being brought back into the attack. It is Benny Taylor. I cannot tell him and Labatt's apart. But now I can. So Benny Taylor, 1 for 8. He got the first wicket of Scoble. He's coming on for his second over. Around the wicket to Hassan, who just nurdles that into the vacant region on the onside. Brings McLean on to strike. It's now or never for the Bumblebee.
69. If things weren't in dire straits before that drinks break, they certainly are now here for the visitors. Still 116 required off just 59 deliveries, so it's becoming 2 runs a ball type stuff at the moment. There as Bird almost managed to get one through there.
Last thing you want coming in as a late middle order. Down to the tail batsman is facing Aaron Bird with his tail up. He's been one of the key bowlers in this competition. You talked about it. His experience in T20 cricket is as long as anyone in Sydney, so he's got experience at the higher levels playing in the old state-based bash and now doing the job for Bankstown at 37.
Bird in, and this one's just been pushed to backward point there by Jamieson. He's able just to collect the single. He gets himself off the mark. We take something very, very special now for the Bumblebees. They've done so well to reach the final. They were a side that didn't win any of their first 3 games, lost their opening 2, and then had a game washed out with all that wet weather that we had around Sydney in October and November. Bird into McLean down the leg side. That'll be a wide, so that will need to be re-bowled. Another run out of the total. And then have gone on this remarkable win streak, which saw them scrape into the finals in 4th place and then knock over first place Sydney Cricket Club in the Sixers conference. Then the second placed Gordon. Both those games away from home to make it to the final, but it looks as if the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup is going to elude them unless we see something very, very special here from their captain, McLean, who just drops the wrists and angles that one down to third man.
It's going to be something special if they do, but you'd have to say, as I said earlier, Bankstown one hand well and truly gripped onto that trophy. It is their first appearance in the finals of this T20 competition, and it looks like they'll join the likes of Randwick Petersham with a 100% strike rate in finals. Bankstown, the way things sit currently, and each ball that's a single or a dot just tightens that grip on the trophy.
Bird comes in, short ball, it's pulled hard there by Jameson, but can't pierce the gap, so he's looking to be aggressive, Ethan Jameson, which I guess is the only, it's not an alternative, it's the only way forward here for a lot of these University of New South Wales batters. But just so hard, isn't it, coming in early on, Chris? You haven't got the timing, that hand-eye coordination not quite there, and trying to score runs. Though he times this one, but straight to Solway there at mid-off. So that is the end of a very tidy over. It's been a regular occurrence for the Bankstown Cricket Club in this bowling innings. 11 overs gone, 5 for 72 in reply to Bankstown, who made 6 for 184. They lost the toss and were sent in. Going to get Graham Gorry, the president of the Sydney Cricket Association, chairman of the Sydney Cricket Association, just jumping us in with us over. Graham, thank you so much for joining us on what is such a splendid day, the final of the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. What do you made of the action so far today?
Well, boys, thanks for having me. Yeah, certainly a great start by Bankstown, and unfortunately, Uni of New South Wales just, I guess, makes it that little bit more difficult to get the ascendancy. So, it looks as though with the fall of wickets and the tight bowling and fielding by Bankstown, they've certainly closed out the match, one would think.
It's been a very pleasing tournament, the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. It's been going for quite a while now, as T20 has become such a fabric of cricket, not just internationally and domestically, but at Sydney grade level. That must be, I guess, pleasing from your point of view and the point of view of fans that come and see the matches, and I guess more difficult this year with a COVID-impacted season with a pandemic that we haven't really been planned for, particularly in sport. Has it been a pleasing summer in the tournament, and I guess from the point of view of the Sydney Cricket Association?
I think, despite the challenges, we've been very lucky to be able to host the final today. Certainly, we've had a few little hiccups pre- and post-Christmas, but thanks to our great management by our Premier Cricket Manager, Roy Formica, we've found ourselves here today and enjoying this great format of cricket.
Brandon McLean's just got hold of that one. A rank full toss that he slapped from Labass way over the square leg boundary for 6. So that just does break the shackles a little bit. Takes Uni of New South Wales across to 5 for 78. Now, Graham, in your role as chairman of the Sydney Cricket Association, what does that involve for people that might be listening that don't know too much about that?
Well, I guess, we organise and arrange the competitions across the Premier grades, men's and women's, and within that, and also shires. And within that, obviously, we've got our normal 2-day competition, our limited over 1-day competition, and today our T20 competition, which is obviously taking a lot of precedence and interest, as you can see from the crowd here today, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of followers online.
How have things been different for your organisation with COVID? I guess not just in this T20 format, but you've got so many competitions from first grade down to 5th. You've got some of the youth competitions that are being played between clubs all across Sydney, and obviously the women's competitions as well. Has it been a tricky period, I guess, coming into the start of the summer?
Definitely, certainly, and also, with the uncertainty even at the start of the season as to when we would start. So that's been fortunate that we've been able to get all competitions off on time. And in the almost similar formats, obviously our lower grades, we've played more 1-days than the conventional 2-day game. But I think from what we're hearing back from clubs and officials and from the players themselves, that it's just great to get out there and show their wares, and we're happy that we can service their needs, and we've been able to get the competitions finalised or close to finalisation as the next weeks and months ahead.
Single there to McLean out in the deep. It takes the score along to 5 for 79. 2 balls left in this, the 12th over. McLean, one of the few Uni of New South Wales batsmen that's been able to really get going this afternoon. He's 21 from 20, and Ethan Jameson will come back on strike. Just the 4 balls faced for him, with 1 not out next to his name. And obviously the final of the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup today, Graham, but still so much cricket left in the season. We've got the quarterfinals now of the Limited Overs Cup in first grade. There's the Belvedere Cup, the first grade competition that's running on for a few more months. So I guess that's very, very exciting to see so much more cricket being played, despite the end of the T20 format in this competition.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, our Limited Overs will go through till, I think, March. We've got our under-16s semi-finals that were held today. So the grand final will be played next Sunday. PGs, our under-21 competition, that's in quarter-final status at the moment, so they play next weekend. So over the next couple of weeks, we'll be certainly busy with a few finals that will be held.
The sun well wide of the off stump, and Jameson decides to leave that from Labasse. He's been pretty much on the money this afternoon, Ben Labasse, but just got that one a little bit wrong. Takes his figures out to 1 for 16 off 2.4. Only a run of ball being conceded. He's back, and Jameson has been bowled. He goes back and was just trying to run that through third man, and just beaten off the wicket a little bit there as it cannons into the stump. So another wicket departs for the University of New South Wales. Jameson's short little foray at the crease comes to an end. He's bowled for 1. Labasse picks up his second, and the 6th wicket of the University of New South Wales for the end. Certainly looking nigh here at Bankstown Oval. 6 for 80 off 11.5 overs. And Graham, we've seen it today. We've seen it in some of the other games we've called. It's just the depth that we have in the Sydney grade cricket competition. You've got veterans like Aaron Bird that have been around the grade cricket scene for what seems like forever, and then you've got young guys like Jack Attenborough, who's 19, that's just starting his journey in grade cricket. It must be so pleasing as the chairman of the Sydney Cricket Association to see, I guess, the changes that you see, new players coming in, players retiring, and just the talent that is being spread across the teams in the first grade competition. Oh,
that's for sure. It's a great pool of talent, and obviously, I'm sure the older players look after the younger players, and obviously that gives us that great depth that we have, and we see these younger players going on to higher representative honours, and it certainly has always been, and certainly from the SCA's perspective in Cricket New South Wales perspective, that Premier Grade cricket is certainly a great grounding for these players to take their wares elsewhere and up the ladder. So we're very pleased that we see a great mix of younger and older talent out there on the field.
You just need to have a look through the list of the Sixers and Thunder squad and the New South Wales squad, and obviously the New South Wales Breakers, the women's side squad. So many have come through this grade cricket system, so it continues to be a launching pad for a lot of young players and older players as well. As we see the last ball of the over clipped off the pads. Graham, thanks so much for jumping in and talking to us a little bit about the Sydney Cricket Association, and enjoy the cricket for the rest of the afternoon.
Great, guys. My great pleasure, and certainly enjoy the game.
That was Graham Gorrie there, the chairman of the Sydney Cricket Association, talking to us here with the live streaming coverage, which is exclusive to the Daily Telegraph subscribers. Chris McPherson's back in the commentary booth with me. It was a bit of a wild last over that one. Chris seemed to go on for forever. We saw a 6, we saw a wicket, and we saw a couple of singles, but unfortunately not really going the way of Uni of New South Wales, with Thalabala Singham in on naught, and McLean 21 not out of 26 for 80, 105, and they're off 8 overs now.
Yeah, certainly a bit of everything in that last over, as you said. Looked like they were starting to see some intent. McLean clearing the really long offside boundary, and now the work is to be done still, and he's the man to do it by the look of it.
So Simpson comes in and crashes into the woodwork. McLean's gone. Going for a big swipe across the line. Simpson full and straight, and he has bent the leg stump back a fair way. He gets his name into the scorebook in the wickets tally. His first ball that he's been given. He's got 1 for none, and Uni are floundering now. 7 for 80. McLean doing what he had to do. He had to go at the bowling, but that's a absolute peach of a delivery, Chris McPherson, and he's on his way for 21. 7 for 80.
Great delivery first ball. It's the old adage, if you just pitch it up and on the stumps, they miss, you hit. sounds very simple to execute. It's a lot harder to do, especially coming in first up after you've just been fielding for the best part of the innings, 12 overs, and then you get thrown the ball. So a great start there from Bradley Simpson, and getting amongst the wickets as well. They've been shared around today, that's for sure, and it's been a good contribution from all of the bowling unit for Bankstown, as well as the absolutely clinical batting display we saw from their team. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's been a real team effort. The majority of parties have contributed already to this, what looks like a foregone conclusion of a victory in this Kingsgrove T20 Cup final for Bankstown.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic performance. And Simpson chiming in now as well. Pretty nice as a bowler to come in when the side's 6 for 80 and on the back foot. But still, as Chris spoke about, very hard first ball to get the ball on the money. And that's exactly what Simpson was able to do there and collect a wicket. So 7 for 80.
Looks like we've got the other McLean coming in now with a runner for him. So it'll be interesting to see how this eventuates. Obviously, we saw Hayden do some damage to his hamstring in his run-up during their bowling innings, and it looks like it might be the wicketkeeper Tom Burns, who's their runner, who is being sent further wide by the umpire, which is interesting to see.
Well, there's always a bit of confusion, isn't there, Chris, when there's a runner? We've seen it in the Sheffield Shield, and with players that have played internationally, there is always that confusion that seems to get things wrong sometimes, as we see a nice ball just angled away outside the off stump there by Simpson. A play and a miss there by McLean. Unfortunate afternoon for him. He's no doubt going to be icing that hamstring, I think, and let's hope that it doesn't rule him out of too much action, because of course he's part of the first grade squad that still got a fair chunk of matches left in the Belvedere Cup campaign for the students. Simpson to McLean, who drives well, but then he's taken off, which is
force of habit.
It's just the force of habit, isn't it? You're spot on there, Chris. He really took off, and he actually does get off the mark, and you can see how bad that was. As soon as he even moved off the front foot, he was like a lame horse running in the Melbourne Cup there that was about to be scratched. It's just something we see a lot of.
Yeah, and he's having some trouble even just walking out the square leg at the moment, so he's in a real world of hurt. He would have been hoping that he wasn't required today. Interesting to see them bring him in at number 9 rather than sending him down the order. Probably doesn't bode much hope for the men batting 10 and 11.
Simpson into Thalabala Singham. This one full on the pads. It's flicked nicely, but straight to Mitch Brown at mid-on. Goes down as a dot ball. I wonder what the thinking is now for University of New South Wales, Chris. We spoke about this a bit off-air during the innings break. If they were in a position like this, do they shut up shop and try and bat the 20 overs and save face a little bit, or do you go down all guns blazing, maybe try and get another quick fire 30 or 40? It's an interesting, I guess, portion of this game with the game pretty much gone. So a bouncer there by Simpson. It's going to be given a wide though, which I thought that was a little bit tight there. But
certainly looked tight, didn't it? He ducked a little bit, and he's not the tallest of batsmen, so yeah, certainly tough. But the umpires, not going to get any value out of the argument with them. Simpson does just ask the question though on the way back, and the umpire said it bounced a little too high by the look of the hand signals and communication with himself, Simpson and Conway, as Simpson comes in again.
To Thalabala Singham, who's back and cutting well. In fact, he's going to get a boundary here. That was really well struck by the Laurel batsman. So again, Thalabala Singham. And he got back onto the back foot relatively quickly and just caressed that really backward a point. Good timing, gets it to the fence for 4. 7 for 86.
Yeah, well placed shot there. It didn't overhit it, even though it was a long boundary. It would have been easy to get sucked into that as a lower order batsman, but just pushed, as you said, nicely through the gap. And it rolled away. The outfield's got some reasonable pace about it here at Bankstown. Need a few more of those boundaries.
And this one bowls him. So Simpson, with 2 crackerjack of deliveries in the over, knocks over Thalabala Singham full and straight. And the lower order batsman looked to crunch that across the line. And the stumps are splayed left, right and centre. And the 8th wicket departs with 13 overs in the books. 8 for 86. Thalabala Singham departs for 4. And things going from bad to worse for the University of New South Wales. 8 wickets down, and here is the replay, full and straight, and wasn't there for that shot to be played, unfortunately, for Southergan Thalabala Singham. And a nice little wicket there for Brad Simpson, who picks up his second. So he finishes his first over with 2 scalps, both the captain, Brandon McLean, and then Thalabala Singham. And so a good little over there for the quick bowler coming back into the attack. Andrew Mensel's joined me in the commentary box as we ready Chris McPherson to go down to the sideline in a little bit, just to get the presentation and the man of the match that we'll be diverting to once
sideline interviews now, Jack, part of the Interact Sport coverage. Chris is our roving reporter. I can think of no more suitable candidate. But what a performance by Bankstown. This has just been this is what you dream of as a team. You save your best performance for the final, and that's what they've done. They've put it together with an exceptional batting performance led by their skipper, backed up by Carruthers and Cormac and alike, and Ezekiel Ahmed with a little cameo. And then in the field, everything's gone right for them. Nkotra with the direct hit early on as well, I think really helped lift the team, and here he is again.
So McLean back on strike, and unfortunately I don't want to be disrespectful to McLean, but it is very difficult when you've got an injury like this, like a leg injury as well.
I'm not used to seeing runners. They're so rarely seen in cricket.
Face up here. He actually used his feet nicely, and they'll come through for a single. So he's played a couple of nice shots here, has Hayden McLean. Just got to try and work out what side of the wicket he needs to walk to now.
Yeah, it's very disappointing seeing someone struggling like that. And you just saw when he played that shot that batters get so used to hitting and running. He took a couple of steps, even though he can hardly run out of habit. But Labas, well, taking 2 wickets today in his last over. Bowled very well.
Sure, he'd love a third to add to that. Bankstown looking to wrap this up as quickly as they can and then enjoy the spoils. Labas in and back and cutting to point. Won't be able to get a single on that occasion is Declan White. Took a couple of wickets with the ball, but like a lot of the University of New South Wales bowlers, quite expensive earlier in the afternoon. It's back and looking to sweep, and that will go down as a wide. So a few little runs being added to the total here just to add much needed respectability. A deficit under 100. Only just though. Labas in and cutting, and a thick outside edge. They're down towards the boundary, running away, and it will reach the rope for 4. So some runs there going to the willow of Declan White. He picks up 4 to his total. He hit 63 down at number 11 on Saturday in the 2-game competition. So he's been in good form with the bat, and he picks up the boundary there. Faces up, and he's cutting again, but straight to the man at point that time. So 1 ball left in the 14th over, 1 ball left in Labas's spell, 2 for 22. Great bowling yet again from the spinner. Back and just guiding that one down to third man. There could be a shot at the stumps. Good throw, but the batters are through it comfortably. So 14 overs gone, 8 for 93. And that ends a great spell of bowling by Ben Labas, continuing what has been a fantastic tournament in the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. 2 for 24 of his 4 overs.
Yeah, terrific performance by Labas. Probably peaked in the preliminary final where he took all those wickets to bowl out Parramatta. Jack, just as we sort of wind down towards the end of this game, I think it's important to acknowledge what a great partnership between Interact Sport, the Daily Telegraph, and New South Wales McDonald's New South Wales Premier Cricket to have so much of the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup covered this year with commentary and multicam coverage.
Simpson continuing. This ball is launched into the outfield. There's no one out there. Lumps in the outfield and rolls down to the rope for 4. So a nice shot there. And a few runs coming off the willow of Declan White now, 8 for 97. I agree and concur with your wonderful statements, Menners. It's been, fantastic. Great to work with all the different cameramen and production staff, and it's been a very professional setup. So I hope that everyone that's watching has enjoyed it as much as we have. And although the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup finishes, the Limited Overs One-Day Cup in the first grade competition will continue on Sunday, the 7th of February. We'll be out at Manly Oval for Manly against Fairfield Liverpool. Simpson in. This ball punched out through the offside, and Declan White looking like a middle order batsman at the moment, playing some good shots as he collects a single.
Yeah, Fairfield Liverpool captain by Jared Burke, and I heard Dan Christian talking about when he played in the Under-19 World Cup with Jared Burke and they lifted the title. So yeah, I just think it's been great for these grade players to get that extra coverage and extra exposure, and I think it's good for the game. I think it's good for the players to be put under that little bit of pressure where, you know, the game's being shown on TV and there are people watching. So overall, in a summer where, you know, we've been deprived of a little bit of sport, it's been excellent to have this covered.
Simpson and McLean, who slashes over the top and will pick himself up his third consecutive single. So 100 is being closed in now by the visitors, 8 for 99. Hanging on grimly. Sure they would identify batting out the overs, keeping Bankstown out there, a tiny morale victory for themselves.
Whilst this is a disappointing performance today for Uni of New South Wales, it cannot be understated what an achievement it is for the whole club just to make the final, their first final in, their first T20 Cup final in about 4 or 5 years. You know, they're a young side, still trying to develop, so, you know, they'll gain a lot from this performance.
Well, launched down the ground, and it's going to be kept to 1. So that brings up the 100 for the University of New South Wales now in the 15th over. But yeah, you're spot on, Manners. A side that didn't win any of the first 3 went on this great end-of-season run to not just make the 4 in the Sixers conference, but then knock over, arguably, in my opinion, up there with Bankstown, 2 of the better sides in this T20 Cup competition. Simpson in, this ball again launched down the ground for the single. Have put in some really good performances, so disappointing that they probably haven't put their best foot forward when it comes to the final today, but I guess no shame in defeat against this Bankstown side that hasn't lost a game and are going to go through the whole season undefeated, which is remarkable. 7 wins and 2 draws, assuming they take out the victory today, which is pretty much a foregone conclusion with how things are standing at the moment. Full toss, and this one angled off the bat there by White, and just the single.
Yeah, Bankstown really do look like the complete T20 side. They've got power at the top of the order. They've got some very good spin bowlers. They've got some, well, good quick bowlers, but a mixture of experience and youth with, you know, Aaron Bird, who's the end of his career, and someone like Liam Marshall, who's at the beginning. And today we've seen all facets of their game on display. And I think that early assault from Nick Carruthers, where he hit a number of sixes to start the day off, just got Bankstown off to the sort of quick start that they needed. And since then, they really haven't, apart from a couple of overs in the middle there when Thalin Balasingham bowled well, that was the only time they've really been slowed down.
Yeah, they've really been on top from ball 1, I guess you could say. Some really good big hitting displays by their top order. So Taylor comes back into the attack. A reverse sweep. This one hits the pad. There's Big's appeal. It almost ricocheted back onto the stumps, actually. Had to be a little bit careful there, Declan White, who's moved on to 12 from just 9 deliveries. So a nice little salvo at the bottom of the innings. He might be pushing for a promotion. He did bat 11 in grade cricket. He's batting 10 today. So he's forward here. Takes the leading edge and squirts onto the offside for the single. And I guess a nice moment here for Bankstown as well, man. It's not often in any sporting arena you can really, I guess, take in the fact that you've got the game wrapped up and that you can enjoy, I guess, these last 4 and a bit overs or the last 2 wickets that are standing. Must be nice for them out there.
And you're at home in front of all your friends and family. Beautiful scene out here with spectators scattered right around the ground in the shade, which is good. Lots of trees.
McLean just dances down the track and knocks this one away. They're going to come back for a second here. Could be a little bit tight. He ends up diving. Pretty hard to know where the crease is as well if you're the runner in that situation, matters, but they do get back for a couple. And they move along to 8 for 105. 2 to McLean, he goes to 6.
Well, having a runner is the recipe for getting a run out. I've seen it so often. But there's 3 people out there that can get confusing. And here's Benny Taylor.
McLean advances and will be stumped. He will be. So the stuttering innings of McLean comes to an end. He tried to use his feet despite being severely injured, but he's eventually wound out and stumped. And Taylor is able to pick up his second wicket of the afternoon. So again, spin doing the job. McLean stumped for 6, and it's now 9 for 105 in the 16th over. Taylor's got 2 wickets.
Well, brave stuff from McLean to even come out while he's in a lot of pain and discomfort. Surprisingly trying to advance down the pitch with a gone hamstring. Not sure if that was the best way to go. And now Bankstown are just 1 wicket away from lifting the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. Do not look away. I think we're going to see a swarm of very happy Bankstown players soon.
Will be their first Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup triumph. They became the 15th team out of the 20 Sydney grade teams scattered across this beautiful city to have reached the final. And they'll be looking with bated breath to this final wicket and lifting up the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup.
It'll be first title since the 2015-16 season. I think they did the double in the first grade comp, the 2-day comp and the limited overs comp. It's been tough conditions for the players today, almost 40 degrees out here at Bankstown Oval. So they've really had to guts it out. And the Bumblebees.
So Charlie Bloomfield is the last man in. He's facing up to Ben Taylor, who's to those 2 balls left in this over. Taylor into Bloomfield, who slaps that one down towards a wideish long on. And they're going to come back for a second because there is a little bit of a misfield there. So Bloomfield off the mark. He picks up a couple. Ticks the score up to 9 for 107.
It all looks very relaxed out there at the moment, doesn't it, Jack? The tension's gone out of this game. The result's really not in question now. And I think Bankstown will be ready to get in the sheds and sing their team song pretty soon.
Taylor to Bloomfield, who half kind of pulls and sweeps this one across the line and will collect a single. So it's made quite a positive start. Declan White is there as well, but that will be the end of the over. So the strike is retained for Bloomfield, who's 3. White is 13 from just 10. And with 4 overs remaining, 9 for 108. Taylor now has 3 overs next to his name, 2 for 23. He may get a 4th over, but with Aaron Bird ambling his way down to the bowling crease and warming up, maybe he should just be waiting with bated breath, because Bird has been superb this afternoon. 1 for 3 off 2 overs, a marvellous catch as well.
Taking the most catches of any fielder in this competition. And look, if you are watching on the Daily Telegraph Network, don't go anywhere, because we will be interviewing some of the players after the game for some live reaction. Then we'll be covering the presentation. So if you're a Bankstown fan or a Doggies fan, don't go anywhere.
And this ball just beating the leg stump as Bloomfield went for a booming drive down the ground.
We've sent Chris McPherson down there to try and...
He's down there somewhere.
I've told him to try and grab Dan Solway after the game, but we'll see.
Fantastic performance by Bankstown. Have done everything right so far this afternoon. In we go to Bloomfield. Stays a bit low as Bloomfield attempts to swipe that one across the line. You feel that this one is could be over within a matter of balls, Menners. Charlie Bloomfield looking like he's keen to stay for a good time, not a long time. And Declan White unbeaten at the other end on 13. In comes Bird, and this ball is connected with, drags it backward a square leg. They're going to come back for a second here. And Bloomfield does some good bit of running there to get back for a couple. He moves along to 5. 9 9 for 110 here in the 17th over.
Bloomfield took a bit of tap when he had the ball earlier today, didn't he? One over went for 22, was it? 3 sixes and a 4 by Carruthers. Maybe he can give a bit back. Here's Bird to him.
Digs out a Yorker outside the leg stump. Great piece of bowling here by Aaron Bird. Plenty of chat out there from the Bankstown Bulldogs. It's a monumental occasion for them. They're breathing in the atmosphere around the ground with lots of Bankstown family and friends and fans that have made the journey to the Bankstown Memorial Oval here today. Bird in this well cut away down towards third man. A thick outside edge there for Bloomfield as he picks up 1. And Declan White, for the first time in a long time, gets some strike, although it'll only be 1 ball. In comes Bird to White, who's been hitting the body there. Looked like it hit him just around the hip region. And so Bird's miserly figures continue. Only 3 coming from that over. He's bowled 3 overs. Remarkable figures of 1 for 6. And 3 overs remaining in this innings. Bankstown made 6 for 184 from their allotted 20 overs. Dan Solway led the way with 56 from 51. He batted through the whole innings. Nick Carruthers smacked 41 from 15. He hit 4 sixes. And then Ezekiel Ahmed with a swashbuckling 26 from 13 pushed them up to 6 for 184. And they've just been able to put a stranglehold on the innings. Uni of New South Wales never really got going and find themselves at 9 for 111. Here comes Taylor to bowl his last over of the day, and Bloomfield advances unconvincingly and slaps that out to the deep for a single. Well, he's doing pretty good, Charlie Bloomfield, coming in at number 11. He's got 7 out of 8. He's ticked his way above a few of the Uni of New South Wales batters.
Just getting a bit of match practice in.
Taylor to White, and White crunches that one down the ground. Took a hand off Taylor, but they should be able to get 2 here. Just a couple of Bankstown fitters collided with each other there, sliding for the ball, and White is able to jog back and get 2 relatively comfortable.
It's been a terrific final. We've seen some excellent cricket all afternoon.
Ball thrown up and driven in the air, caught, and there it is. Bankstown Bulldogs Cricket Club lift up the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup for the first time in their history, and they've done it in amazing fashion here at Bankstown Oval this afternoon. Big winners by 72 runs. 70 runs after making 6 for 184. They've dismissed the University of New South Wales for 114. Ben Taylor gets the final wicket of Declan White, who drives, and a lofted shot taken marvellously in the covers. He finishes with 3 wickets. A 70-run win, a fantastic performance, Menners. They've been the best side throughout this tournament all the way through, and they've done the damage today. Brilliant with the bat, scintillating with the ball. A very comfortable win, which I guess shows us what a dominant side they've been during this tournament.
Yeah, it's been a terrific tournament for Bankstown, and what a way to finish. They've probably saved their most complete performance for the final, and how fitting that the skipper Dan Solway took the catch there to end the game. Terrific batting earlier on by Bankstown to set a target of 185, and then they dismissed Uni of New South Wales for 114. And just a complete performance. Ben Taylor's 3 for 26, picking up that last wicket. He gets the most wickets for Bankstown. And Uni of New South Wales, they should walk up very proud of their performance. They played really well to get to the final, unearthed some great talent. Jack Attenborough and Adrian Isherwood, a couple of players that will dominate Premier Cricket for years to come. But today it's all about Bankstown. They lift the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. And I think you have to say Dan Solway, the skipper, played really well today, anchored the innings, and then marshalled his troops excellently in the field.
Yeah, did a great job with bat, and then took 2 really nice catches. So a really good performance, and they get a raucous amount of applause as they make their way from the field. We'll have Chris McPherson very, very shortly that will hopefully be chatting to Dan Solway, the victorious skipper and probably the lock for man of the match with a brilliant half century, 56 or 51, and a couple of really nice catches, and just led his side really nicely around the park as well. So we'll wait for Chris to get in position and for Bankstown to finish their celebrations out on the field. We will just go and take a look at that scorecard for the University of New South Wales. That only made 114, which was tough. When you're chasing such a big score, man, as it is difficult. Why don't you just run us through the scorecard for the visitors?
Absolutely. So Scoble was the first man to go for 10, caught by Solway after bowling of Ben Taylor. Jack Attenborough was out for 19 off 16 deliveries. Adrian Isherwood made 7 off 9. Brandon McLean, skipper, 21 off 21 deliveries, but then it fell away pretty quickly. Burns out for a duck. Hassan, 14. Jamison, 1. Thanabalasingam, 4. McLean, 6, but he was injured. Gutsy performance. And then Declan White was the last man to go for 15. I think it's worth noting that when Bankstown batted earlier today, Nick Carruthers made a dashing 41 of 15 deliveries at a strike rate of 273 to get Bankstown off to a flyer. And then Ezekiel Ahmed with 26 off 13, Dan Solway with 56 off 51, and Cormac with 28 off 23 propelled Bankstown to that imposing score of 6 for 184.
Just waiting for the presentation to just get going. There's a few last cosmetic changes that are being made, and hopefully Chris will be able to get that interview after that. But as it stands, Bankstown winning the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup for the first time in their history. It was the first time they've ever made the final in this competition, and they've continued, I guess, their rich history. They've had a lot of success at first grade level, and you just need to look at some of the names when you walk into the corridor here at the Hall of Fame end. The War Brothers, Greg Matthews, Jeff Thompson, and these names held in fairly high regard as well, with a fantastic win today.
Thanks again to the Daily Telegraph for exclusively covering a lot of the Kingsgrove Sports T20 Cup. Thanks so much to Interact Sport for putting on the coverage. And, of course, thanks to New South Wales Cricket and McDonald's New South Wales Premier Cricket for getting through the competition. It has to say, within some difficulties, a lot of games were suspended just before Christmas with the COVID outbreak, but they rescheduled and successfully got this competition up and played. So fantastic work by everyone involved.
Yeah, that's
a very happy bunch of players down by the Stephen Mark War Pavilion, especially the players in blue, the doggies.
And I think we might head down to Chris McPherson now. Chris is down the sideline and he's ready to do an interview.
Final for Bankstown and a win. That's 100% strike rate. That's certainly a good way to start it off.
Yeah, it's a nice way to start off the 2020s. We've had a few grand finals of the Belvedere, so to make sure we've won today, it was an outstanding effort, and the boys, were all really excited. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations, mate. We'll let you go and join the presentation and have some good celebrations.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Cheers.
T20 Cup, this today, for those of you who are superstitious, it's the 13th competition that we've run for the T20, and congratulations to Bankstown, and also congratulations to Uni New South Wales as runners-up. To get here is a monumental effort, considering March, April of every season. Not only your T20 comps, but your one-day comps and, of course, your two-day comps. Welcome to you all, and a special welcome to our sponsor and principal of Kingsgrove Sports, Harry Solomon. Harry, thank you for coming. Harry's been associated with this competition for many years, and we trust and hope he'll continue his support for the years in the future. And he said absolutely, so we've got him on tape. Thanks, Harry. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, a game of cricket requires a lot of organisation, and there's a lot of thank yous that I must acknowledge, and first and foremost to the Bankstown Club for hosting us today. The SCA are totally appreciative of their support, and it's not very hard to twist their arm to say, is your venue available for a finals game of cricket? And to Scott Grant and his committee, to Brian Friedman, Marty Clump, and to all other committee of Bankstown Club, thank you so much for providing this fantastic venue. And of course to the persons responsible for getting both sides here today, our great thanks to the coaches, officials, to Corey, to Gary. Congratulations on getting your sides to the final today. It's been a great effort. Also to our scorers, again, that scoreboard was ticking over quite busily all day, and thanks to them for their support. But probably importantly too are the groundsmen to prepare this great oval, this pristine outfield, and the pitch was superb for today's game. So thanks go out to the groundsmen for their preparation, and it's always a high standard here at Bankstown. Also to our persons that are live streaming, the boys up in the commentary box, thank you again for your very astute commentary of this game today, and I'm sure the support of this format of the game is increasing, and obviously I'm sure a lot were online watching in the comfort of their air-conditioned homes, whereas you're great supporters. We're out here following your teams. And on behalf of the SCA, I thank you all for coming along today to support your teams. There's highs and lows, as we all know, as a supporter, but certainly the strength of your teams are borne out by the number of supporters. And here today is a great crowd, so congratulations to the supporters. Give yourselves a round of applause. And perhaps if I could just reflect on how we started the season with COVID-19. The SCA has had some incredible situations to overcome, and we've had lots and lots of Zoom meetings or team meetings throughout the season to overcome the challenges that COVID-19 has created. And with the support of my colleagues on the SCA, the umpires, Darren Butcher, I know is here today. Darren, to you, to Troy, to B. Sadowich, fantastic effort to support us all to get all of these competitions underway. Certainly pre-Christmas we had a few hiccups, post-Christmas a few more hiccups, but we got there. And to do that, the man on my right, Roy Formica, has done an outstanding job in redrawing competitions to make sure that we get the game going and we get the games completed and the season completed. So would you mind putting your hands together for Roy? And of course, last but not least are our umpires, Troy Penryn and Ben Trelaw. To Troy and Ben, thank you again. Fantastic management of the game today. And Sydney Cricket is blessed to have these gentlemen of such high calibre, experienced umpires out there doing the right thing and not putting up a finger too much today. But first and foremost, we have some presentations to make. And if I could call upon Troy to say a few words and to present the player of the match medal. Troy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everyone. Just a couple of thank yous first to Bankstown Cricket Club for hosting us today, much appreciated. Thank you to the SCA, Roy and yourself for putting on the competitions we love to officiate in. And to Harry, thank you for your sponsorship of the competitions that we officiate. Graham mentioned the scorers, Janelle Crew and Jeff Price, both of them excellent, and we thank them for their time today. And to our match referee, Darren Goodjack, thank you to him. Congratulations to both teams on making it to the final. Obviously plumbed through a number of knockout rounds to get here. Well done, and commiserations to the New South Wales boys, and congratulations to Bankstown. So to the player of the match, we're going to go with the captain's knock from Daniel Solway.
Thanks, Troy. We might get Daniel up a little bit later to say a few words. Now to the runners-up, and if I could ask Harry Solomon to present to the captain of Uni of New South Wales, Brandon, the runners-up check. If Harry could present that. Brandon, would you like to say a few words?
Thanks, Graham. I probably won't be able to rattle off as many of the thank yous you did. I would like to echo all of them, especially congratulations to Bankstown on the brilliant performance today. You've been a benchmark club for as long as I've been playing cricket, and obviously well deserved today. A big thank you again to the SCA, to Kingsgrove Sports and everyone who made this possible with the officials. Obviously a great afternoon, would have liked to have made it a little bit more competitive, but a good afternoon nonetheless. Final piece from my side is a big thank you to all the supporters, not only today but also through the semi-final. The round games has been superb and creates a bit of atmosphere compared to when we normally have maybe half a dozen people at a Saturday, so quite nice to play in front of you. And finally, a big thank you to Corey and to Muzz for all your efforts this year in supporting the team and trying your best not to pull your hair out, have your hair looking like mine. So a big congratulations. Obviously very much a young and aspiring club, and we're on the rebuild, so hopefully heading in the right direction. So well done to all the boys this year on a superb season.
Daniel, could we ask you to come forward? Our next presentation, which Harry Solomon will help us officiate in, is presenting medallions to each of the players on the winning side.
First up, we got Aaron Bird. Brad Simpson. William Marshall. Ezekiel Ahmed. Daniel Nkotra. Benny Labass. Jake Cormack. Benny Taylor. Mitch Brown. Nick Carruthers. Mitchell Hines. And then our coaches for the 2020s, James Bourne and Michael Paulson. And just also another notable mention to all our support staff that we have over there, Crowe, Pricey, Razor and Emu. Very well done on the season.
Thanks, Daniel. Now if I could ask Harry to present to Daniel the winner's cheque for 12,000 Australian dollars. And the trophy. To Daniel, behind you, right there.
Firstly, thanks very much to the SCA and Roy for putting on the competition. There's lots of hard work, especially in what has been a challenging year with COVID. So to get the season up and to run as smoothly as it has been with all the challenges and delays and everything, you guys have done an outstanding job. So hats off to the SCA and Roy. Outstanding. There's also a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes. To Gooch, the umpires, Troy and Betty, to have the quality of umpiring we do in this grand final. It puts us at ease, and congratulations on another great game for both of you guys. It's great knowing both of you guys, so well done. To our club, to everyone that puts on the work behind the scenes, there's so many of you. We really do appreciate it. It makes our job easy, just being able to turn up and play and focus on our cricket. The facilities here are outstanding, and there's so much work that goes on. So to everyone involved in the club, thank you very much. You make our job really easy, and we really appreciate it. To Union New South, you guys have had an outstanding season, and it's a really, really great effort to get to the finals. So congratulations on the season that you guys have had. You should be very proud, so congratulations, guys. And then just to the crowd as well, to have such an atmosphere for a game like today. Thanks very much for coming down. Made it really enjoyable for all of us, so thanks very much for today. Then finally, over to the boys. Well done. It's been an outstanding campaign. Through the challenges we've faced over the last couple of years, our 2020 cricket, really proud of the way that everyone's played, that everyone's contributed. Couldn't be happier with the group that we've got. It's amazing turning up playing with you guys each week. So much fun, and just really proud of the efforts this year. So well done and enjoy it.
Thank you, Daniel. Take your tracking check. And ladies and gentlemen, we have the T20 winners for season 2 2021. Bankstown. Another round of applause. Thanks, everyone. That's the end of the presentation. So enjoy the rest of Australia Day, and best wishes for the rest of the season. Thank you. Thanks, Harry.
All good?
Yeah.
Smile, boys. You can hold the cup up. Hold the cup up. Hold it up. Hold it up. Here we go, last one.
The call! The call! Wait. Come on! Ready? Come on, boys. Let him go.
Well done, boys. Happy with all that? I think so.
Labasse with the first ball of the innings, and it's a short ball. There's a big appeal. Not out. Scoble was frozen on the crease. Labasse. Second ball, then it's cut beautifully through point by Attenborough. Timed excellently, and it's crashed into the boundary for 4.
2-1.
Marshall delivers to Attenborough, who slashes that one over the offside, and it's going to bounce over the fence for 4. Lovely shot from Attenborough. A bit of width by Marshall, and Jack Attenborough.
What's roll for them so far?
Marshall, a full ball, and Attenborough's driven that beautifully over the offside. Just waiting for the umpire to signal whether that's gone for 4 or 6, but a delightful lofted off drive by Attenborough.
I think it was now play thus far.
Taylor in again. Shorter ball, and it's pulled into the onside. And the man's... Oh, good fielding by the man at long on. He's got it just off the rope and kept it to 2. You speak about just outside the ACT border. He hasn't been able to go. Oh, that's thrown up. It's high in the air, and that is 6. It's a huge shot by Scoble. That's onto the roof, I think, of the Bankstown. Well, I can't even see the building from where we are, but that's a massive, massive 6. He's just bowled so well this competition. Here he is again, and he's wrapped him on the pads. Huge appeal. Oh, he almost bounced back with the wicket, but I think it was... Here he is again. Taylor to Scoble. It's thrown up again, and Scoble's driven that hard to long off, and he's been caught low to the ground by the skipper Solway. He's taken a ripper just off the grass, and Scoble goes. Labasse, a quicker ball, and it's lofted over mid-off by Attenborough. It's bouncing away. They've got 2. They're going to think about a